pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger and roll, Atlantic. Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's a time for a little bit of roadside rocket watching tonight. Roadside rocket watching. I'm John Galloway. I am here to hang out with you once again on NASA Spaceflight's YouTube channel. We are waiting for some more testing of SN4 Starship. Let me know if you can hear me, right? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Tell me I'm pretty. I'm not going to continue that quote. I don't know if it's appropriate, but just let me know that everything is good to go right now. Loud and clear. You can hear me pretty. All good. Can hear you. Awesome. All right. So I already have this up in the background because while we were sitting here waiting for the live feed from Boca Chica, we actually got word from Mr. Musk himself, Elon Musk, tweeting out just a little bit ago. What was this? This was like 30 minutes ago that he tweeted this picture of the small Raptor. And this seems to be a picture that was taken from underneath SN4 over on the launch pad at Boca Chica. I mean, that's what I think. You can see the landing gear in there. There's landing legs that are tucked up in there. I think there's what is that, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 landing gear, if I'm reading that correctly. And then we have a little bit of an off-axis Raptor, it looks like. And his quote on this was SN4 flamey icon soon. Raptor looks so small with a line over the O. So hopefully that is a good indication that we're going to see something tonight. So again, we are here. It's NASA Spaceflight. I guess, what is this? A special event? It's not NASA Spaceflight Live, but it's a NASA Spaceflight special event stream. We have live feed coming from Boca Chica down there. Let's switch over to that and introduce who we have hanging out. Again, as we're here, if you have questions for us, tag us at NASA Spaceflight. I will read questions. We've got people hanging out and things like that, helping me with that. But things like super chats, memberships, all that, we'll get to that. But let's see what it looks like out at Boca Chica right now. Please work. Please work. Let's see. Oh, so right there, you should be able to see the live feed provided by Boca Chica Gal. Once again, she is out there about 1.5 miles away from the launch pad where we're standing by for what we think is a wet dress rehearsal. Mary, are you with us on the line right now?
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. How are you doing out there?
Doing great.
Yeah? How's the weather?
Yeah. Oh, beautiful.
I gotta say, there must be no wind at all because that camera is rock solid right now.
I don't know. There's a little breeze.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I think there's some sort of trickery going on because that is about the most stable camera feed I've seen. But that is a beautiful shot of the pad. Do you have any indication? Have people left the pad? Is it clear right now, or?
I believe it's clear.
All right. So we saw the vehicles drive away and stuff like that like we saw last night, right?
Right.
Excellent. So again, y'all, this is Boca Chica Gal. This is Mary. She is our videographer on the scene down there. I mean, that seems like it doesn't give you quite enough credit, Mary, just calling you the videographer, because you do a lot more than that. But you are out there operating this remote camera for us. You're camped out about 1.5 miles away, right?
Correct.
All righty. And we are standing by to see what we can hear. So Mary is going to tell us, like we talked about yesterday, one of our first indications that something's going to happen is Mary can hear fueling start. So we know the pad clears, there's nobody on a lift next to it, but yesterday, Mary, you were saying the first thing that you sort of listen for is sounds from the launch pad, right?
Yeah. Yeah, usually I can hear it.
Gotcha. So if you need to mute me or turn me down because I talk a lot so that you can hear the launch pad, like, feel free to do that.
Okay.
All right. And so everyone, give a rousing welcome to Mary. Again, we have this live feed because Mary is out there. She's camped out on the side of the road, safe distance away. Always want to make sure we say that. And she is operating the camera and the live stream equipment to bring us this live feed. Also with us on the phone here tonight, I say the phone, whatever, it's a Zoom call. Welcome to 2020. I have Michael Baylor. Michael, how are you doing? Talking while muted.
I'm doing well, and I'm not muted, Doss.
I was trying to help you out in advance there. So, Michael, how are you doing this evening?
I'm slightly disappointed that I was expected to be muted, so I was doing well, but now I'm disappointed.
It was a TeamSpeak joke. Chat, if anybody has heard the talking while muted, like, please tell me you know what I'm talking about. But anyways, Michael is running all of our code on the back end here tonight, all the overlays, and you can see the big improvement. As it turns out, we can be taught. We may be old dogs, but we've got a new trick on the screen. We have a local time stamp. Rocket science in the upper left-hand corner showing that it's currently 11:10 p.m. Central Daylight Time. So, ta-da! There you go. We have that new addition to the screen. I know, right? Yesterday, you asked, people in chat asked us for a clock so you could see what the local time was. And poof, there you go. Merry Christmas. There's a clock on the screen. So now you can see without asking me. Anyways, Michael, thank you so much for doing that. Of course, Michael also photographs stuff, and does some writing for NASA Spaceflight, and also does some app work with Next Spaceflight, right?
That is absolutely correct.
Absolutely. I can plug Next Spaceflight. You didn't plug Next Spaceflight, so it's not awkward, but I can say it. And then finally, with us on the call here this evening, we also have Jack Bayer. Jack, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Dude.
You know, we're Michael and I have the luxury of being on Pacific time, so it's only 9 o'clock for us.
Help me out real quick. I always stumble over this because I'm not a professional host or anything, right? Bayer or Bayer?
It's Bayer.
It's Bayer.
Everyone says different things. Really, my only pet peeve is if you add the S on the end of it, because people somehow manufacture Bayers, which I don't know why.
That doesn't sound right
Bayer.
at all.
Thanks for asking.
Jack Bayer right there, right? So I will now say it incorrectly every single time because I've asked you, and I'll remember the wrong answer. Again, I'm not like a CNN host or anything. I play video games.
No worries. I appreciate you caring.
Anyways, Jack is here with us as well, and it's going to be me, Michael Baylor, Jack, and Mary hanging out, standing by to see if we can see anything of a wet dress rehearsal. So who wants to take this? Everybody wants Bluebirds. I mean, did I mention the Bluebirds? Who wants to take this? What do we expect that we might see tonight? Jack or Michael? Who wants to take that one?
I can make an attempt.
Go for it.
So last night we were expecting to see a wet dress rehearsal followed by potential pre-burner tests of the Raptor engine. However, the vehicle was never fueled, although we did see some testing with the ground support equipment. So tonight we were expecting to see that same exact test occur today. However, we just saw Elon tweet that Raptor fire soon, which we don't know if soon means tonight or as in sometime this week. So after that tweet is sent, there is an open question about whether we could see a static fire tonight. SpaceX is known to, especially Elon is known to push schedules forward when there are slips. So it could be that they just decided they're going to go for the static fire on the first go. We don't know. We'll find out.
Gotcha. So last night we hung out for what, like 5 hours, right?
It was a 5-hour stream.
It was a 5-hour stream last night.
Props to Mary for sitting out there with the camera for that long. I mean, we might have griped a little bit about being on stream for that long, but she was the one that was out there with the camera.
Yeah, I'm just impressed that the batteries and everything lasted that long. Like we were a little bit concerned that camera batteries were going to die and stuff, but we got everything going there. So for people who were wondering, yes, we did swap the batteries right before we started the live feed for you. So we actually practiced that battery swap thing, and we think, knock on wood, That's my head I'm knocking on. We think that maybe we're going to be good on the battery swap tonight. So battery swap brings the test. I can tell how many people were here last night because people are saying, oh, well, swap the batteries to start the test again. So you must have seen yesterday where every time we did something, we swapped a battery, put something on the stream, something interesting would happen. So we got that massive flare stack eruption last night with literally liquid methane spewing out of the top of that thing. But that's our plan for this evening, hanging out and seeing if we're going to be able to see. I think, again, like I said, Mary's listening for fueling sounds, and we're going to be looking for flare events, outgassing, some of that boil off that you see coming from the tank farm there, and frostiness. So everybody with the high def stream, make it full screen and have a look at it and see if you see what you think may be some frost forming on tanks somewhere, because that is a very good visual indicator that those tanks are getting cold and starting to freeze the moisture out of that South Texas beach air. So stay frosty. I like it. Oh yeah. Also, from last night, you knew that we were having a couple bit of issues with some hotspots on the camera. We were able to work through those, and it looks like right now, I'm not seeing any hot pixels. Is anybody seeing anything that looks like a hot pixel? Now's the time to clean your monitor, because it's probably just dust on your
I'm
monitor.
not seeing anything on my. I mean, I'm just looking at the feed on my phone and on on our stream here, and I don't see anything. So it looks like we're clean.
Yeah,
excellent. Knock on wood, which next to me is IKEA particle board, but do what you can, I guess.
Knock on particle board? Does that work? Anyways, hey, again, y'all, that problem didn't fix itself. Mary took time out of her day today so that she could troubleshoot some stuff, and she was on the horn with us here trying to figure out what we were figuring out. So
okay, somebody in chat just said there's 2 small pixels on the left-hand side, and I can say as I do see those. We do have a way to troubleshoot this now, though. So if it gets worse tonight, we have a potential solution. The theory is that this is a DSLR, so the image sensor does get kind of hot as we're live streaming. But again, if it becomes a problem, we can troubleshoot it. But as of now, they're like hardly noticeable, so I think we're good.
Yeah. I got to sort of squint to even see them there, but I see what you're talking about now. Yeah, we'll continue to watch that. We'll continue to watch that and see what we can do.
I'm really sorry, guys. I jinxed it. I had to open my big mouth. I'm sorry. Oh, geez.
That's fine. So again, if you're just joining us, we're not expecting a static fire tonight. We know that a notice has been sent out to the residents of Boca Chica, which includes Mary, right, Mary?
Yes.
All right, so you got a notice
did.
saying, what was it, like midnight to 4 for the loud noise warning?
Correct.
All right. So SpaceX put out a notice, like a literal printed piece of paper that they put on people's doors or mailboxes or whatever, and the notice said to be expecting a loud noise or an overpressure event that may occur between midnight and 4. And also in that notice, it told the residents that 10 minutes prior to that test occurring, they could expect to hear a police siren, I think it was. So if we hear a police siren, if Mary hears a police siren, Mary, chime in and say, oh, there's a police siren, because that is sort of a 10-minute warning for testing to commence, right?
Yeah, and to be clear, we were not expecting a static fire, but since Elon tweeted that, it's not impossible.
I mean, that's a good point. Yesterday, we weren't expecting it at all, but with that literal tweet from Elon saying Raptor flamey icon soon, what was that, emoji icon? Whatever. Who knows what Elon's got up his sleeve this evening?
And honestly, if we just see fueling, I will be excited, because last night was a long night with the brief flamethrower that was exciting, but other than that, it was not quite as exciting had there been any sort of fueling going on. So fingers crossed for fueling.
Yeah, gotcha. Hey, real quick, a couple super chats came in. High Desert Garden, thanks for the $19.99. A joke at the beginning.
High Desert Garden, what a cool name. High Desert Garden. What's even in that? A bunch of succulents? That's really cool.
It looks like he's got one of those boonie hats on too, like the sun hat that you want to keep the sun off your face if you're in the High Desert Garden.
Something tells me we'd be friends.
Yeah. The message says, this will never work. The world is flat and satellites don't exist. Haha, sarcasm. I love SpaceX. Let's see that static fire with an exclamation point there. So, hi, Desert Garden. Appreciate the support there. Also, we got Orca Pup. Orca Pup, $20. Thank you for the, there's no message on that one, but we appreciate the support there. Got a
Oh, Orca
membership.
Pup.
I know, right? Is that what they're called? Baby orcas or Orca Pups?
I don't care if that's what they're called or not. That's what I'm gonna call them.
I'll allow it, Jack. Then we got Benny Gibby there. Welcome to Launch Director. Benny Gibby with Launch Director. Wow. That's serious business. Appreciate you, Benny. Thank you very much for that.
Thanks so much, Benny.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
And we got Scott Sanders says, thanks to Mary on site for the great picture. Chat, this is a fantastic picture, isn't it? It really looks nice. Once again, last night when we first turned this on, we all said sort of wow. And then we pushed it live, and it was, wow, that's such a great picture. And we have Mary, we have Boca Chica gal out there to thank for this picture, right? We didn't send a robot out there or anything. This is Mary who is operating this camera and giving us this shot.
And we do have a super chat question from Philip that I wanted to answer.
Sure.
Philip was asking if the propellant lines are a bit close to the pad with no flame diverter for a static fire, and that is a good question. Yeah, I would kind of agree that it is strange that there is no flame diverter to strategically funnel the Raptor's fire away from the sensitive pad infrastructure. But this is SpaceX. They're trying to keep things as simple as possible and on a minimal budget. So if stuff does get damaged, it won't be that big of a deal. So we'll see what happens. With Starhopper, we did see a small fire break out at the base of the pad after that static fire. So
right,
anything can happen tonight. It'll be exciting.
Yep. Yeah. So there was another question. And again, I'm going to try to grab some of these questions as they come through. Andre asks, what are they testing tonight? We're not exactly sure. We know that SpaceX put out a warning saying that there may be an overpressure event if there's an anomaly with the test. So they warned that residents may want to be out of their houses. Would that anomaly be due to fueling? We're pretty sure it's going to be a wet dress rehearsal. We know that that's what they've been sort of gunning for. Will they do a pre-burner test? So not actually lighting the engines, but just lighting the pre-burners? Maybe. It depends on if they get the fuel in the rocket. Will they do a static fire? I mean, I don't know. Elon said Raptor fire soon, so who knows if he's trying to make up for some lost time or something. But do we know, the road closure would allow them to do a static fire? Question mark.
Yes, it should, because they have the airspace closures as well. So if there was a huge fireball, which hopefully there won't be, but things can go wrong in testing.
Yep.
They have not only the safety radius at the ground level, they also have the safety radius at the airspace level.
Gotcha. So again, it's not like you need you need a specific type of road closure to be able to do the tests, because we don't want people driving by on that beach access road that goes right by. I mean, I don't even think it's 100 yards that the beach access road goes past the launch pad right here, and we don't want people to be driving around while they're pumping, again, for the first time ever, methane into this rocket SN4 here. So
Well, maybe second time. We don't know how far they got last night.
Yeah, that's a good point. We didn't see any frosting or anything like that, but they may have pumped some stuff in partially or something. Bird.
Yeah, so I don't want to take it away from you, but yeah,
No, Jack, I talk a lot, and it's my job to talk, but don't let me talk over you. Like, if you got something, speak up. We're just hanging out here, and we all have stuff that we get excited about, so feel free to just be like, dude, Das, and I'll shut up. I know how to shut up.
Das, we do have a launch director to thank. eSquare has joined the launch director membership program, so we appreciate that support.
Nice. Thanks, eSquare. We appreciate you there. Ah, yes. Oh, and here's some more questions. May the 4th. Is it May the 4th? It is. Here it is.
Look at that.
I mean,
wow.
In my time zone, it's May the 4th. Let me check this handy on-screen clock. I mean, it doesn't have the date on it, but it's still 11:24 p.m. CDT, which you can see. We added to the live stream. So it's not quite May the 4th there. Maybe they're waiting for May the 4th to do the actual test. Ah, yes.
It should probably be noted that the hazardous operations, which is basically the potential for a loud noise, warning that's a resident Scott, started at midnight local time. So we are 35 minutes or 36 minutes away from that right now. We weren't sure if that was going to be like from the fully fueled point is when that window would start, or if that was when the fueling operations would start. But based on right now, I'm not seeing any fueling. It could be that they're going to start fueling at midnight. So we'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
They also have a couple-hour window. So even if we don't see fueling at midnight, that's not a sign that the test is necessarily not going to happen today. But hopefully, fingers crossed, the test starts as soon as possible, obviously.
Yep. And again, we play it by ear. We actually have eyes and ears on the ground out there. Mary is standing by, and she is the expert with whether or not things are normal or whether or not something interesting is going on. That's how she's able to capture all of the stuff she captures out there. But Mary, if you hear anything that we need to know about, again, let us know, okay?
Okay, I will.
Alrighty. So another thing, why was the flame going crazy earlier? So Andre, I don't know if you were talking about yesterday when we saw the flame go straight up crazy, spewing liquid methane out of the top, or were you talking about earlier before we went live? Chat, help me out with that one. Did y'all see the flame doing something weird earlier today, or is that in reference to yesterday when that thing just went crazy?
And I'll read both in chat.
Yeah.
I didn't see what happened earlier today, so I'm not quite sure what happened there. But the thing last night definitely looked like they were, and this is speculation to be clear. I am not a methane burn-off expert, but it did look like they were pumping out more methane than they were able to burn out because you saw some of it falling to the ground.
Yeah.
And lighting the grass on fire near the pad. So that was definitely not supposed to happen. They want to burn off the methane before it reaches the ground. So that was a little bit of an issue, but this is basically one giant experiment that's doing. So they will work any issues and make improvements, and hopefully we will not see a flamethrower that could cause any problems tonight, but we will see an exciting large flame.
Yeah, gotcha. Scott! What's up, Scott? Scott Manley is over there hanging out as well. Yeah, Delta 4 would like to show you a big flame. How's it going, Scott? I should say hello, right? Let's see here. Future Martian says, thank you, NASASpaceflight, and especially Mary for all this amazing coverage. Let's hear Raptor roar. I think we're all right there with you, Future Martian. We would love to see some flames tonight. I mean, we always have that flame on the right-hand side, and for people asking, the flame on the right-hand side, that's normal. They're burning off methane that's sort of boiling off instead of releasing it into the atmosphere and letting methane, which is a gas that can become inflamed, inflammable, I don't even know the right way to say that. Methane sets on fire. And so instead of letting that sort of pool around or gather around the area, they burn it off in a safe manner. And then the smoke, I guess it's not actually smoke that's going away from the tanks. That is some condensation, some liquid oxygen venting that's happening over that way. So that is what you're seeing, but I would love to actually hear the Raptor roar. I agree with you. There was another one I missed. Nuova Zeta said, thanks for all your dedication to us space nerds, and special thanks to Mary. Mary, I hope your ears don't like start burning or you start blushing or anything, but every time somebody says thank you, I'm going to repeat it out loud to you, okay?
Okay. And I appreciate it.
Gotcha. All right. So what else do we have going on in chat?
A lot of people are asking about when the test is going to occur. We have no idea when the test is going to occur. It could start in 5 minutes. We could see fueling starting in 5 minutes. We could see fueling starting in a couple hours. We have absolutely no idea. You're just going to have to sit back, relax, hang out with us, and hopefully we will see some signs of action soon. But their testing schedule is very fluid. They will run into issues, work the issue, hopefully fix the issue, and then proceed. So there is no like set specific time of when any sort of action is going to happen.
Gotcha.
I really need to come up with a better metaphor because I feel like I use this one a lot. It applies to shooting or photographing jets, but it's the same with this kind of stuff. It's like fishing. You sort of just sit and wait, and you hope you catch something cool happening. So yeah, just gotta sit back, wait, and see if something cool happens. Hopefully, we can catch something.
Yep, that's definitely what we did last night for 5 hours, sitting and watching the pad. And it was always our problem, and what a good problem to have. Our problem was that it kept doing stuff that was interesting enough that we all wanted to keep watching. We didn't want to stop the stream because there were things happening. So the same sort of thing, we don't want to miss it.
Ideally, it's either boring or interesting and not in the sort of a gray area middle ground where it's like just interesting enough that it keeps you going, but not interesting enough that you first, it's the, middle ground.
Yep.
But so far tonight, I mean, look at that picture, that yellow, lighting behind the condensation there. That's beautiful. So I could sit and watch that for a couple hours.
It's very calming, right? It's sort of just, you got the flame going and you got the outgassing, or I don't even know what the right way to say it is. So anyways.
I remember seeing on one of our daily Boca Chica videos, someone said like, this is the best ASMR on the internet or something like that. Nice. Our videos kind of are, it's like a weird, sit back and watch. I don't know. I could definitely find this soothing. So hopefully people enjoy it.
Yeah, gotcha. Jack, there was a question here. Somebody was asking about a scanner. Like, why can't we listen in to their operational audio with a scanner or something? You've been out there with a scanner before, right? Or that sort of equipment. Is it possible to hear?
You may remember the SN4 stacking video that has the boom operator audio because I had my scanner out there.
Yep.
Every time I go to Boca Chica, I bring that same scanner and I have it on and I'm listening to see if I can pick anything up. And that was the only time that I have so far. So they're probably encrypted. It's what I have is just a normal radio that anybody can buy off of Amazon for like $100.
Right.
It's nothing fancy. So it's just listening to the electromagnetic frequencies, the radio waves that are floating around freely in the air. So whatever SpaceX is using for their comms, it's not that. It's either encrypted or they have a hard wire, or it could be a digital trunking system type situation because my radio is just an analog radio. So for whatever reason, I haven't been able to pick up anything from their end. And from an operational security standpoint, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I think the crane operators were just using a standard business frequency. I told one of my friends what frequency it was, who knows more about this stuff than me, and he's like, "Oh, that's just the default."
The default for the radio.
Radio, exactly. So that wasn't, any kind of, I don't think big deal. I got lucky one time. So maybe we'll be able to hear stuff in the future, but for this sort of thing, I got to figure that they're communicating, in a much more
secure,
proprietary way.
Yeah, secure, proprietary.
There you go.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Reading through some more chats here. Here's one. I want to be careful with this one. Rocket Chaser says, recent reports had Elon in Boca Chica. Do you think he's still there or with his girlfriend so close to the due date? Honestly, Rocket Chaser, this isn't TMZ, so we're not like Elon chasers. And if Elon hasn't announced that he's there, I don't know that we would like to speculate whether or not Elon's there. Michael, does that seem like the right way to play that?
Yeah. To be clear, we don't know where he is, but if we did, we would definitely not be telling you. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it just seems like a thing we don't want to turn into, paparazzi mode. Oh, Mary, go run over there and see if you can find Elon. That's not how we roll, right? So I appreciate the question.
Yeah,
there.
that's a little cringy for what we do. Thankfully, that's not our focus. And if he's there, cool. Hopefully, it's motivation to the team. And if he's not, cool. Hopefully, he's getting some sleep and doing his thing.
Yep.
Hope the delivery goes well and healthy baby and all that.
Yep. And again, I totally don't mean to disregard your question or anything. I'm not scared of questions like that. I just want to explain the way we sort of view things. We're here to capture the rocket and to see what's going on from an engineering perspective and that sort of stuff. So that's what we focus on. So Greg Esch has another one here. Says, thank you, Mary and Chris. Chris? Is there even a Chris here tonight? I don't even know. I'm kidding, Greg. Thank you, Mary and Chris, for bringing us the great SpaceX news and news and thoughtful discussions. All right, I'll let you have that one, Greg, for the news and thoughtful discussions. Suddenly, I'm going to get a Chris from somewhere talking in chat. Yeah, I'm here, you cheeky sod. He says, "Can I say that? Is that bad?"
Yeah, that might be bad. I don't know. That's
he
above
typed
my
it
pay
in
grade.
chat. All right. So again, if you're just joining us, we're just standing by. We're watching for testing to occur out here at Boca Chica. This is a live feed. You hear us keep saying Mary, right? Mary is a Boca Chica gal, and she is the one out there who plugged in this camera, turned it on, got it on the internet, using the broadcast equipment to bring us this fantastic picture tonight. So when we say Mary, or when we say Boca Chica gal, she is the one to thank for the view that we've got right now. Here's a great question. Yesterday we were talking about drones. So we know that SpaceX would fly a drone out to watch the launch pad or whatever. Any indications of drones out there yet tonight, Mary?
I did see it earlier. Yeah, it's been up.
Gotcha. But it's not, it may not be back, it may not be up right now, but it was out earlier?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It'll probably be up again.
All right. Well, again, I know I talk a lot. I have people tell me that quite often. But if you see something like that, feel free to break in and say, hey, Das, I saw a drone. So never hesitate.
Okay.
Ah, yes.
And one thing I will mention from that tweet that Elon sent, which I will put the picture on screen again quickly, since we're not seeing too much going on in Starship just yet, is that a lot of people are wondering about the off-center placement of the engine. It's kind of hard to tell in that image. This slightly off-center, that's because 3 Raptors go on the base of the Starship prototypes that they're building, which is designed for 3 Raptors. This prototype is believed to only be getting 1 Raptor engine. So there's kind of a triangle configuration at the base of the vehicle, and they're only using 1 of those mount points, which means that the Raptor is off-center. For a static fire, because the vehicle is held down, that does not make too much of a difference. It is they are planning to hop this vehicle to 150 meters, and that is still possible if the Raptor were to gimbal to correct for that off-center thrust. But we also have not seen any RCS thrusters or cold gas nitrogen thrusters installed on the vehicle yet. So before they hop, we would likely see those installed. That's a speculation, but right now there's not seem to be an obvious way to perform roll control on this vehicle if it were to perform a hop, given that there's only 1 engine at the base of the vehicle, which means you cannot use that to give yourself roll control. But that is what it is. Again, that's just speculation. We will see if this vehicle does end up hopping. Part of me also kind of has a hunch that SN5 is coming along so quickly that it may just make sense for them to go straight to SN5 after this vehicle is done with the static fire. We will see.
You gotta love how Kerbal these vehicles are. They're just so insanely like, oh, we're just testing a thing, so let's put the tanks on the outside and we'll put it's just do it as fast as you can. Let's learn as much as we can, as quickly as possible, and build the next one. It's really nifty.
Yeah, and to be clear, like the rate of improvement is very high. Even if this prototype does not look like a normal class rocket, which it definitely is not, compared to Mark 1, which is the first prototype, it is miles better. And SN5 is also going to be a significant improvement. So it may not look like an orbital rocket yet, but it is going to slowly but surely transition to a proper looking spacecraft. And this is just SpaceX's way of doing things. They develop quickly and fast at a low budget rather than investing a lot of money up front in the end product. And that allows them to have flexibility. And if they need to make a change, it's not a set design that they have to go back and alter. They have a lot more flexibility.
Gotcha. And
It's
I'm
crazy too, because Hopper, even just Hopper to SN1 was a huge improvement. And then, like you said, SN1 to where we are now, and even SN5 over SN4. It's just each one is a clear iteration. A lot of times, even just visually, you can just look at one next to the other and say, "Oh yeah, that's very clearly better."
So here's a couple questions that are on the same sort of line here. Are they going to pressure test all the SNs? Or do you get to a point where you build a tank and you just roll it out there and go with it? I mean, I think every rocket tank probably gets tested before it's integrated into a vehicle, right? That's a question.
Yeah, I mean, SpaceX static fires all the vehicles at McGregor before they transfer it to Cape Canaveral or Vandenberg or whatever it's going to launch. And that also includes the static fire, obviously, which is the engines getting ignited. But that does also act as a full test of the entire vehicle systems, including the tanks and everything. So we may not see a cryogenic pressure test and then a static fire on a separate day. We may see those all occur in one test, but I would be surprised if SpaceX flew a vehicle without first filling it up and igniting the engines on the pad. That is that is a very concrete and firm element of their testing process. The Falcon 9 was a fully operational vehicle, so it doesn't make any sense why they would change with Starship, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, gotcha. So I saw another question there about what are the long black tanks on the outside of SN4? Up there at the top, sort of the top left-hand side of the SN4 barrel, you can see sort of a long black tube that's attached to the side. Are those COPVs? Those are some sort of pressure vessels, right? They're a tank that has something in it.
Yeah, we believe.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
I think it's fair to say they're COPVs, and I think they would be part of the autogenous pressurization system, because
yeah, exactly.
it's not autogenous yet. Okay, so it's just part of the pressurization system.
They're working towards that, which is why they have to have COPVs because it's not complete yet.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Thank you.
What does that mean?
But,
autogenous. Like, oh, it's autogenous, not autogenous. Like, help us out. What does autogenous mean?
So basically, on a normal like Falcon 9 rocket, they have COPVs which pump helium into the tanks to keep the tanks pressurized. Because the tanks are not properly pressurized, the fuel is not going to get pushed into the engines. So you have to keep the tanks pressurized. But if you don't want to have helium and you want to keep things simple with only one gas, the methane and liquid oxygen will boil off and turn into gas as it warms up. So you can also use that gas to pressurize the tanks, which is along the lines of what you're going to be doing. But
so in English, the system that they have right now requires these extra tanks to keep it pressurized, but the autogenous one doesn't require extra tanks. Did I understand that correctly? Or
there will be extra tanks, but the extra tanks will hold the oxygen and methane. They're called header tanks. And I actually have a picture of one I can bring up.
Sure, yeah. So it's not the fact that there are different tanks, it's what's in the tanks that makes it autogenous versus not.
Yeah. And
one uses the gas that is also the propellant and or oxidizer, and the other uses a completely separate gas, helium. Like in Falcon 9 they use helium because it's inert. But that adds in additional complexity. So
gotcha. So it's like when they're filling it up, they're backfilling it with something that's different from the fuel versus the same. I mean, I appreciate y'all. Like that's a great explanation.
And what you're looking at. Oh, go ahead, Das.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say what you're looking at there is the SN5 header tank on between the methane and liquid oxygen tanks. The liquid oxygen, the main liquid oxygen tank is on the bottom of the vehicle. The methane tank is on top. And in between the methane and liquid oxygen tanks is where the methane header tank is located. The liquid oxygen header tank is up in the tip of the nose cone, which, as you can see on SN4, SN4 does not have a nose cone. So that is why SN4 needs COPVs, because it does not have header tanks. So that is part of why SN4 has header tanks. Some are also wondering in chat if COPVs are used for the cold gas thrusters. We did see that on Hopper. They can store cold nitrogen and use that to fire the thrusters. And in fact, Tesla is looking into using that on the next generation Roadster. So there is that. But again, this vehicle is using COPVs because it does not have header tanks yet. But the next vehicle, SN5, should have that header tank system.
Gotcha. And so there's some other people saying that they thought the header tanks were there for the landing portion of the fuel. Have we heard that? Is that a...
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I thought, I'm not super 100% on all of this, but I thought the header tanks were sort of like a tinier tank that exists, sort of as the funnel to feed the everything into the engines. And then, when you're almost empty on fuel and you're coming in for landing, that's where the fuel is, so that it's not sloshing or completely lost floating around a giant tank when there's only a small amount of fuel. It's like a tank within your tank, so you have a tank when you tank.
Gotcha. So there was a question that came through here. It's Happy Hacking. Hey, Happy Hacking, welcome back. You were hanging out with us yesterday. Cheers from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Yesterday you saw a person standing in the dark when cars approached the pad. I don't believe we saw anybody standing around the pad, did we? Did anybody else see that yesterday?
No, that doesn't ring a bell, but
Yeah.
I joined partway through. I wasn't here the whole time, so.
Yeah, gotcha. I don't remember seeing that Happy Hacking. Remember, there's a lot of stuff between us. We're a mile and a half away. I think there's some, I don't know, yucca plants. I don't know if they're yuccas or whatever type of plants they are. But there are some plants in the way. So I don't recall seeing a person walking around the pad while it was clear. There's certainly people that went back out there after we saw the vehicles approach, but I don't recall seeing that. So always happy to look, but yeah, the sheriff would never allow that, NASASpaceflight says. So, and we're still got a lot of discussion going about header tanks insulated, yada yada yada. Yeah, so there's a lot of information sort of flying around on that. So again, if you're just joining us, we are standing by for a test, and we're about 14 minutes away from the opening of that. What's the right way to call that, Michael? The anomaly window, the warning window.
Hazard window?
Hazard window?
Hazard window.
Yeah, I like that. The hazard window, where it's SpaceX actually put out a warning on the doors or mailboxes of the residents of Boca Chica saying starting at midnight local time, so you can see it's currently 11:47, upper left-hand corner of your screen, at midnight local time, they can expect for a window to open where there may be an overpressure event, I think it said, right? And they said they're going to stand by and listen for a siren. And 10 minutes in advance of the test, they expect to hear or play a siren, I guess, or the police car would play a siren. All right. Well, I don't have a beverage. Jeez. So, y'all, if you give me just a second here, I've got a little bit of an administrative thing to do. If y'all can grab another question or something for me.
Yeah, I hopped out of the live stream. I'll see if I can jump in and jump into the chat and see if there's some questions.
Gotcha. So I'm just going to take 1 second to see if I can't set up some stream witchery here. Yes. Oh, there was one. Oscar Marino. Oscar Marino says, the latest render of the moon version of Starship shows that SpaceX has killed the large window and added elevated landing thrusters from the moon version. Do we know if this is going to be the case for the Mars version? So, Oscar, I know the image that you're talking about that was part of that HLS award where we saw SpaceX getting getting a award from NASA to help develop that human lander system. But I don't think that included any announcements about Mars or how the HLS award would affect the design of a Mars lander. So a good question. It's always cool to sort of hang out and watch and sort of ask questions, but I don't think there was any official information on that. Was there?
Maybe we should throw the rampant speculation or the wild speculation banner on the bottom again. But seeing that render in particular, it kind of occurred to me, and I'm sure I'm not the first person, that the way that Starship is built with the ring segments like that, it's like I could have imagined that being very modular. And if you want to swap in a ring segment that has a thruster pack for the moon version versus a ring segment that has like a habitation pack for the Mars version, or a nose cone that has a bunch of windows, it seems very much like there's the ability there to swap parts in and out. So we definitely don't know what the Mars one looks like currently. It seems like it changes, every time we hear about it, there's more changes. So
yeah,
but I could see, the way that they've designed it, they have that flexibility in there to change things around should they need to, or should they find a reason to.
Yeah, gotcha. So I'm ready to try my stream witchery here. Let me see if this works. All right, y'all give me just 1 second here, and let me see if this works. All right, so I'm clicking some buttons here, and we're gonna see if this works. I had another special guest join us. Special guest, can you identify yourself?
Oh, it's Scott Manley here.
What's up,
Hello,
Scott?
Scott Manley.
For reals.
So how are you doing tonight?
I'm wow. I'm currently running my runway project thing, which is of course, air combat in Kerbal. I've been modding the heck out of that. But
Yeah?
I've been watching this, of course, and I was delighted to hear all the speculation about Starliner on the moon, or not Starlight, Starship.
I'd love to hear speculation about Starliner on the moon.
Yeah. The future at some point. That's a long way out there.
Yeah. So, Scott, thanks so much for dialing in and joining us. Were you hearing our conversation about the header tanks and autogenous?
Yeah, I don't think that. I'm gonna say I don't think we were right because I looked it up since. We are not the experts, so if Scott has a better answer for
I'm not an expert either. I'm the person that has a day job that talks a lot, right? So I didn't hear that particular part of the conversation.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, the lunar starships, obviously, they're really fascinating detail that's come out. The whole having the ring of thrusters sitting up there, and that picture, which showed two sort of red engines on it, which of course wouldn't happen because one of the sea level engine is regeneratively cooled, so it's not going to glow red. And sure, the space engine, it might still be a little hot if you're, say, using an infrared camera, but I think whoever did the art just messed up.
You think whoever did the art just messed up?
I think that's my opinion. But I mean, hey, it was way better than the Dynetics video.
Yeah.
The Dynetics video, they go to land on the moon and they point the spacecraft towards the moon and fire the engines.
That's right. I forgot. That one is just, it clearly was made by somebody that was trying to make it look cool rather than actually look realistic.
No idea.
It's a photoshopped image of the lander. It's not actually an animation. It's just a static picture of the lander pointed at the moon.
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
What I liked about my video on those awards was a lot of the comments are, look at how tall and scaly Starship is. It'll fall over when you try to land that on the moon.
Because who hasn't had that happen in Kerbal, right?
Right. Well, and the thing was, for my video, I did a version of it in Kerbal.
Yeah?
And I landed it on the moon.
Was it stable?
First time. Like, maybe it was a fluke that I landed on a safe spot, but sure, I landed it, stayed up, it bounced, but it stayed up. So, yeah.
It seems like it should be. Do you think that it sort of narrows down the landing zones they can do it? But we don't land on slopes anyways,
yeah.
right?
I mean, but we all know that SpaceX has been working on precision landings forever, right? I mean,
right?
Just look, even the Hopper did a pretty good accurate landing despite falling quite hard.
Yeah, and then sending its COPV going off into the wild blue yonder afterwards.
Yeah, I'm
right?
hoping that when they fly SN4 that the Raptor manages to survive the full duration this time.
Yeah.
We don't need any engine-rich exhaust.
So, did you see the picture? I mean, this is a silly question, but you saw the picture from Elon with the Raptor mounted on the bottom, right?
That's right. It's off-center, so they aren't using any modifications to the thrust puck. So I was wondering whether they would have a special one which put it in the center, but no, they're just going to rely on the gimbaling and the control to make it work.
Yeah, so that's what we were sort of speculating. Like the Raptor has enough gimbaling that they can get it pointed through the center of mass, and they can still fly it successfully with one engine, even if it's not in the center, right?
Right, and the trick is that when you're coming down, you have to be aware that as you're hovering on that, you're either hovering your whole thing at an angle or you're inducing side slip. So the thing has to account for that. It may not even be visible, but it'll be interesting to see when that thing lands.
Yeah, I wonder if when they program it, if they give it an offset that just says, hey, just so you know, your home position or whatever. I'm making this up. I don't write software for this for a living. But your home position is this as opposed to straight down. I wonder if they account for that or if the vehicle automatically keeps up with it or what.
I'm not sure. I mean, what I found most interesting was when CRS-16 went out of control on the way down. And we had some comments from the people that did GNC at SpaceX about how the system does have like machine learning, and that wasn't anything they programmed it to do, but it did figure out how to land. I don't think it was reprogramming itself as it descended, but it definitely was able to work outside its envelope and put itself down.
Gotcha. So I've got another question. We're just going to keep hitting you with questions. Scott, thanks so much for joining us. Like, as long as you can be here, you're welcome to hang out because we don't know when this test is going to happen.
Crunching numbers here.
So help me out. I couldn't answer this question yesterday. When we see the venting from the tank farm or the top of the Falcon 9 or whatever, we know that they're venting liquid or they're venting oxygen, right? But,
or methane.
Or methane.
The methane's burning.
The methane's burning on the side, and the oxygen is sort of the white vapor clouds. What are we seeing there? Are we seeing oxygen, or are we seeing condensation from the atmosphere?
Seeing condensation in the air. The air is condensing very, very quickly, yes.
Gotcha.
Right, because the oxygen is super cold, so it's pulling moisture out of the air.
Bingo.
Ah, see? There you go, chat. I told you yesterday that I would get somebody smarter than me on here, and so here's Scott Manley, and I trust Scott Manley's answer to that one. Condensation is what we're seeing.
Right,
there.
so if you think about it, right, the venting is coming off the top of the tank, and that is all gas, but it's it's still just above the boiling point of oxygen.
Yep.
So it's transparent, and it's when it hits the air, it cools it down enough, and then the condensation drops out of the air then.
Yep, and those are the clouds I say clouds.
There's no drops of liquid oxygen in there is my point, because it's too hot for that.
Yep, gotcha. So thank you for that. Oh, so we're gonna pick your brain about this stuff, right? Did you see the flare tower spewing methane last night?
I didn't. I was totally distracted doing Kerbal things. I heard it was big, but Delta 4 has something to say on that front.
Somebody in the studio grab me that video link. If I could get a timestamp from the studio real quick, I can show it to you, Scott. You see the production preview in Zoom here. You can actually see this video. So we'll get us timestamp over, and I'll show you that the flare stack last night was spewing liquid methane so much that it was hitting the ground and then burning on the ground.
Oh, well, so in that case, it must have been liquid then if it's falling.
Yeah,
right?
You could see a fountain of methane coming out of the top. So
they must have had to be dumping that out or something. So I'm wondering what would have done that.
So DOS, we're a couple of seconds away from having the video in Control Center. There you go.
Copy, thank you. Is that timestamped?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. So I'll grab that.
Yeah, it just seemed like maybe they I don't want to say mistakenly. Maybe it seemed like there was an excess of methane coming out for whatever reason. You know, perhaps a
Well-
value was set incorrectly, or
Right.
it's an instance where they, you know, thought it could handle X, or they were testing even to see if it could handle a certain amount, and then they discovered, nope, doesn't take that much, a little bit less.
Yeah, and they started blowing maybe the methane through, liquid methane through the pipe. I mean, not only are they building this really, really quickly and figuring out the fabrication techniques, their test protocols are sort of being made up very, very quickly as well. They're trying to do everything just in time with whatever staff they have on hand.
Yep.
Obviously, we saw with SN3 that there was a problem with the testing protocol that resulted in an unfortunate early demise.
Oh, you may have heard me right there from yesterday's stream. I'm queuing up that video.
And quick programming note, it is now 11:59 local time, which means in 1 minute, the hazardous notice that was given to residents will be taking effect, which means we are into the potential for fueling operations in about a minute.
Hooray!
Yay!
But we haven't heard a
Cool.
siren yet, right? Mary, have we heard a
No.
siren yet?
No siren yet.
Gotcha. Mary, I'm so rude. Have you met Scott before? Do you know Scott Manley?
I know
I
of Mary.
know of him.
Know
yeah.
of him. All right. Well, Mary,
Yeah.
Boca Chica gal, meet Scott Manley. Scott Manley, meet Mary. Welcome to the call.
Thank you for all your amazing photos. I've found them very, very useful.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you, Scott.
It's great.
So, Scott,
Yeah.
check this out, right? This is from yesterday, and this is what we saw as we came back
Whoa.
from a camera battery change.
Yeah, so they must have had so these flare stacks, it's only supposed to be gas that's going down there. So
Yeah.
some valve must have gone the wrong way and they started blowing pressurized liquid down there because it's falling.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
falling.
thing.
Flaming
Wow.
liquid methane falling out of the flare stack. It actually looks like it's running down the side in some cases.
Yeah.
So, again, y'all, this is from last night. This is not
I totally
right now.
missed that. I've just been, knee deep in flying airplanes in Kerbal.
Yeah, the good news is we had Mary out there and we had the live feed going, so she captured that for us last night. So,
Wow,
And
that
let's be
is
clear, there's
amazing.
nothing wrong with flying airplanes in Kerbal. You do that as much as you can, Scott. The world
I-
needs all that content.
Yeah, I have 150 entries for this week's competition, so they're all running through the meat grinder.
150 entries?
I've automated the whole thing. So
Oh no.
yeah, I have a program that just puts them all up in a battle and then runs it and then comes out with the results, and then I run the next one. And then I'm doing real work at the same time.
You're doing real work at the. Wait, are you doing all of this right now? Like you're hanging out with us?
Yeah, there's a battle running right now, and Teflon Mike is currently engaging Lagodiak in his seaplane.
Oh, are these like submitted things or
yes. It's so basically it's a round by round competition where we have a different theme for each round. Like
Right.
there was one where it was big guns, small planes. This week the theme is seaplanes.
Right.
So we call it Runway Project.
Yeah? Okay, and people build planes and submit them.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And they occasionally get scored, and we sometimes have fun blowing them up.
So are they flying in like in KSP right now? You have a screen up
Yes,
with KSP
yeah,
and you
they
see
have
them
a
flying?
screen. It's doing the full simulation for all the vehicles with their guns and everything. The AI is flying everything. Yeah, it's all. I modded this thing to heck, so I didn't have to do it myself.
Oh, geez. So again, y'all, if you're just joining us, this is probably the only guest who I do not need to repeat their name. Like a lot of times, people are like, "Who's that? Who's talking right now?" But Scott, when you talk, I think everybody on YouTube knows who's talking, right?
I think so. I just say hello for most people.
You just say hello, exactly. I got a. Geez, I don't know if I missed.
Update, by the way, Teflon Mike just won the battle. So,
Is that like spoilers, like behind the scenes information? Or something?
it'll just go into the scoring sheet.
Nice. So here's another question that came through. It says, "Hey, question about Dragon 2. All right. In case parachutes would fail, unlikely, but if, do you think they have lines of code which would enable landing with the Super Dracos?" I mean, they said that they weren't landing with the Super Dracos, right?
Right.
That was like a
I
thing.
don't think that. I mean, I think it seems prudent, right? But I can honestly say that NASA might have seen 420 last year and said, we just prefer you didn't fire the Super Dracos, but.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like code like that should go through so many reviews and stuff like that. It's
Right.
not like you'd
Well, I
hide some
think if
code
it
in
was
there.
right. So even having the possibility of those firing means a lot more review.
Right. And it would have to be an official thing. Like if there was code in there that could trigger an event like that, that would have to be a documented thing, not like an Easter egg,
Right. Yeah.
That is one more thing to go wrong.
Yeah. And we know
There's
how
also-
Elon doesn't like numbers of things that can go wrong, right?
Right. I mean, the Teslas have Easter eggs. You shift in a certain pattern and push buttons, and then you have weird sounds.
Yep.
But
Weird
I don't
sounds.
think I don't think the Dragon has enough buttons to hide an Easter egg, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he's put the Konami code in there. That would be totally an Elon thing.
In the Dragon too.
I just hope that the Dragon has a way to start playing Enter the Dragon by Lalo Schifrin,
Oh,
right? The
jeez.
theme tune to the movie should be the first thing that plays when they open the door to that thing. Because you're about to enter the dragon.
Like every time you unlock it or something, right? It plays the theme song.
Da, da.
Oh yeah. So people in chat asking, is this going to be posted up? The videos, the live streams that we do are always available after the fact, so that you can get caught up. If you didn't see something from the beginning or whatever, I'll tell you, you haven't missed much with Starship. There's some venting, there's some methane flare, but we haven't seen a lot of action out there on the pad. And now we are officially into the hazard period, where SpaceX said that they would stand by and sound a police siren 10 minutes before this test may occur. So we've got Boca Chica gal out there who's running the camera and also running her ears, hopefully listening for a police siren. And if we hear that police siren, that's going to be a good indication that something may start to happen. So
What do the police sirens sound like down there?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to ask Mary can you emulate a police siren noise, but we heard it last night. It was like a siren, just like a fire truck or something, right?
Okay.
Yeah, like a pretty normal siren, not like a European siren, the dee 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 dee.
Well, yeah, that's continental European as opposed to, Britain European, which is
How does a
which is
Britain,
more nina, yeah.
How long has this stream been live and we're already making siren noises to keep
an hour.
ourselves entertained? So again, y'all, I'm scrolling through chat. I'm just hanging out. Doug wants to know what CPU runs the AI for the Kerbal battles. You have a computer running those.
I've
Kerbal
just got my
battles?
Windows machine running it, and
There you
so it's BD Armory mod, which includes Battle AI.
Yep.
But I've modded that to death now, and I'm actually getting to the point where I might run like some machine learning to try and make better pilots, because I'm just suddenly into this stuff. Well, the best one was round 4. The theme was speed, so we wanted everyone to build fast planes that would be very maneuverable.
Right.
Then there was a games master that would kick in every minute and pick the slowest pilot and blow them up. It's like the movie Speed, right? You go slower than 50 miles an hour and the bomb explodes.
And the bomb explodes. Jeez. Somebody
But
asked
it's a plane.
Somebody asked if my Bluebirds were eligible to enter into your runway project. You haven't seen my Bluebird camera, have you, Scott?
I have. Oh, yeah, I know of it, but I haven't seen it.
I have a couple live stream cameras that I'm testing to see if I can trust that they'd be stable for long live streams. And I've got a family of 4 Bluebirds out on my back deck that we've been watching.
Beautiful.
So that's the joke last night was me continuing to plug my Bluebird stream, which is almost as interesting as watching the flare stack sometimes.
We're still getting a lot of questions about when something's going to happen. The answer is possibly between now and 6 a.m. local time. Possibly. We have no idea if it's even going to occur today. So we have no idea, basically, is the short answer.
Yeah. And it was the warning window until 6 or until 4?
The warning window was until 4. That's
Okay.
your point.
Gotcha.
But they have gone outside the warning windows to the residents before. For example, the hop, if I remember correctly, to 150 meters, came out like slightly after the window ended for the residents So they just sounded the siren a little bit late. So that is kind of flexible. The one thing that is not flexible is the NOTAMs that they have filed. So that 6 a.m. is a hard cutoff because NOTAM ends then.
Okay.
Gotcha.
But do they have a NOTAM required for even a static fire?
Yes, there is a
Okay.
NOTAM in effect right now.
Is that an indication that if things go wrong, there could be debris flying high enough to
I
impinge on
think that's a
aircraft?
good assumption.
That was our yesterday. We were talking about it being. We're not planning on seeing anything fly tonight. That
Right.
doesn't mean we won't, but that is sort of one of the big reasons I think this is such a big event, because it's the. I'm still going to roll with the first time they've tanked Starship with methane, right? They did the test in the past. Clearly, Hopper had fuel in it, but a Starship SN actually getting methane, even if it got a little bit last night, we're thinking this is a sort of a big deal for Starship. So that's why we're all hanging out watching it.
Plus, I mean, what else are you gonna do on was it Monday? No, Sunday. The days are all running together now. What are you gonna do on a night? I mean, come on.
Sleep.
Right. Writing Kerbal code.
Yeah, writing Kerbal code. I'm going to hang out here and continue to watch the bitrate on the live stream cameras to make sure that they're all stable.
You should turn the bitrate into like a flare stack animation. You know, what you should do is when the bitrate's good, you have big flame, and when it's bad, it goes out.
I like it.
We have the
Yeah,
technology.
Michael, you can code that, right, Michael? Let's just whip that right up.
Is there an API for the live view solo DOS?
It's not on the Solo, it's on OBS actually. So
Oh,
an
that's
OBS
true.
plugin could read the incoming RTMP bitrate. That's what we do with our auto failover. We have code on an OBS plugin that watches the incoming bitrate, and if it drops below a certain thing where we'd expect the video quality not to be good enough to show, we'll auto fail over and kick to another scene. So
the answer is definitely yes.
Yes?
It's technically possible. Does that mean it's high on the priority list? No, but it's possible.
on a scale of like high priority to low priority, where does it rank in terms of adding a clock?
Based on the demand for a clock last night, it is well below a clock.
Jordan Coman over there just said, thanks for adding a clock. You're doing a great job. Jordan, thank you for the support there. So, anyway.
This is a great camera view, I have to say.
Oh, gosh. It really... Oh, look!
Ooh, action.
Scott,
Hey, look at that.
Scott,
Something's happening.
you should compliment the camera more, because
Ooh,
when you said that, it
yeah.
just flared.
Wow.
That flare just kicked in, y'all. Look at that.
Something is happening.
Yep. Literally,
So
as soon as
hopefully-
Scott said it was a great camera view, the flare went, what?
Should get the thermal cameras out, although I guess it's hard at that long focal length to get good thermal imagery.
Yeah, we probably had to get a little closer to... We were talking yesterday about they use thermal cameras to inspect...
Oh, almost out. Oh, it's dying! No!
We saw this yesterday. We saw the little spurts yesterday, a big flare, and then it went down and it did these spurts for a minute yesterday. So...
I'm
really
sure there's
wonder-
an expert in flare dynamics that will tell you exactly what's going on there.
I know, we need to find somebody that works at like a refinery or something
Right,
to dial in and talk.
Exactly. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Chad, if you have any family that works in oil refining, ping them. So send them a midnight text message. It doesn't matter. Do it. We need to know.
Oh, how are we, y'all, since we've just entered the hazard window there and we saw activity from the flame, how are we on battery level?
So we are an hour 10 minutes into the stream, which means we have 50 minutes of battery left on this camera battery. We have 2 spares and the ability to recharge them right now while one camera is using a battery. So in 50 minutes or so, we will have to prepare for a battery swap. If we see a lot of action, we could do that sooner so that we don't have to do a battery swap while there's fueling happening.
Yeah.
But that's
Gotcha.
something to watch.
And I'm checking the Solo. The Solo seems to be full power. It's on external power from the vehicle inverter right now. So, Mary, if we're starting to get into a more active period and you want to turn off that inverter you're running, I think you'd be clear to turn that thing off so you can hear better. Because this is like go time, right?
Well, but I'm charging a battery.
You're one of the camera batteries?
Flare again.
Another big flare.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So your call on that. If it's impeding your ability to
Right.
hear or whatever, you're the one with your finger on that button. So if you want to turn it off, we're looking good from what I can see here.
Okay.
Any frosties yet? I'm gonna maximize this video and see.
I'm not seeing it. The lighting on the rings can be misleading in terms of frost. It kind of blends in well with that reflection. But
Yeah.
once it starts to get pretty cold, it will become a lot more definitive. But as of now, that looks like normal non-frost, the Starship to me. The one thing you can do that's often helpful is if you think you see frost, rewind the video 5 minutes
Oh,
and
yeah.
see if it changed. That's what I
Right.
do.
Yeah, that's a good point because you can roll it back and you can sort of compare, jump the video back and forth. Yeah. Will we be able to hear
There's a
the
lot of
warning
venting from that
sirens?
ground support equipment too.
Yeah. The question from Nico Rico there, we'll be able to hear the warning sirens. Boca Chica gal will be able to hear the sirens, right, Mary?
Yes.
Yeah,
I will be able to hear them.
Even with the fan going in the car out there, you'd still be able to hear a police siren in Boca Chica. It's not a huge place, right?
No, it's not huge.
Gotcha.
Definitely be able to hear them.
All right. Yep, so there's that flare pulse again. We got the other big flare, and then we're getting the pulsing once again. Looks like by the time
Holy cow!
What?
I just brought up the feed on my desktop that I'm sitting in front of.
Yeah?
I haven't actually looked at it on a big screen yet. It looks so good. I mean, I don't want to get into congratulating ourselves too much here, but wow, that's
I'm gonna-
cool.
Yeah, if Ridley Scott was going to direct this, it would look like this.
With the floodlights
praise.
and all the gas, all the clouds going
Yeah,
on.
he's always about volumetrics. All of his
Heck yeah.
movies.
And I did just rewind the stream a bit on my computer to check if the venting has significantly changed from the ground support equipment. And the answer is yes.
There's
We
a
are
lot more
seeing
venting?
A bit more venting right now. So that's at least a potential sign that they are getting ready to fill this thing up. We'll see.
Gotcha. So looking through, so this is a good question. We're seeing the methane flare constantly going, and we're seeing the venting. It's increased in volume, but we see this constant venting from the tank farms. The white clouds on the middle left versus the flare on the lower right. Right. Why are those things actually venting and burning if they're not moving fuel around right now? Can anybody take that one? Like, why does it smoke so much? What's going on that?
I mean, the stuff is going to be heating up and boiling away, and they have to vent it, otherwise the pressure increases.
Yeah.
Right?
So
And
just
they're obviously not allowed to vent the methane. That's the one thing they're not allowed to vent.
yeah.
They have
If
to
they vent it, they have to burn it, right? They don't just
Right.
let it accumulate. But
So like this stuff gets trucked in off-site, and then it's cryogenic. It just wants to evaporate.
but like on a normal day, when you drive by, if there's cryogenic fluids, I guess, gases, whatever, in the tanks, are they always doing this? Or if they're not
Yes.
doing this, they don't have anything in them? Like,
Yeah, generally, even if it's a small amount condensing off, if you're going by a tank farm like this, you can see a little relief valve somewhere, spitting off a little bit. But for whatever operation they're doing right now is obviously way, way more than just a standard little bit boiling off here and there, although that's maybe that's a component of what's going
What'll
on.
be
or
do-
they're-
They'll be putting a lot of stuff through pipes and whatever, and the insulation on those won't be as good as the tanks. The tanks are designed for storage, but when you start moving it about, then you don't have the same, you basically can't have like vacuum insulation around a fuel transfer pipe. So
right.
that makes
that's
sense.
when you start to see a lot of the stuff. It's all condensing and cooling that down.
I guess it sort of comes down to a volume to surface area sort of thing. Once you start taking it out of the big tanks, which are minimum surface area for the volume of fuel you're holding, and you get into pipes, which are long and skinny, a lot more surface area for the volume, you expose it to a lot more heating, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I saw something, so I rewound the video to make sure.
Yeah.
And it looks like there might have been a very small vent from the top methane tank
On Starship.
on Starship. I
Yeah,
was
and
looking
I
at the
did-
YouTube stream. I thought I saw something. I rewound I see it again right now. On the delayed stream DOS. At the very top, there's a tiny white dot, and it keeps going away and coming back every so often.
All
So
right.
it looks like
Yeah.
we have signs of fueling potentially.
Yeah, and I do hear noises.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So
that's a
yeah,
good. If Mary hears noises, that's the
yeah.
sign.
Michael, can you give me a timestamp?
It's going like on and off. So you see, it's 2 rings down from the top.
Yes.
There's a tiny white dot. That's solid. You're seeing that right now.
Yes.
Just to the left of it, if you look carefully, you may see a little vent again.
Okay. I'm gonna stare cross-eyed at that for a minute here and see if I see anything. It's
I
like we
mean,
have to
you
be
know, they'll be
quiet.
displacing. They'll have to
I'm-
be purging that originally before they fuel it. They'll purge it with nitrogen, right?
I am not seeing it right now. I will tell you if I do, DOS. The one thing is, if you're looking at it was not like super apparent. So.
Right. Oh, there it was.
Yeah, there it is. Right
It just
now.
did it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
it's on
see
right
it.
now.
Yeah. It looks like it's venting straight at us.
Yeah,
So
it is.
cool. We have venting.
I mean, that definitely looks like some sort of something coming out of the side there. Oh, good
Okay,
eye, by the way.
I'm putting up a ticker message to confirm that fueling has started, because if Mary can hear it and we can see something coming out, something is happening.
Yeah. Chat, did y'all see what we were talking about there? Did everybody sort of see the little vent that we were talking? I'm gonna see if I can't queue up a video and show you exactly what we meant. So
I like that you went with the 3 exclamation marks on the
That's
fueling has
exciting.
begun caption. I think it's definitely 3 exclamation mark appropriate. So
It's
I concur.
we've been waiting for 6 hours total now between last night and tonight. So 1 exclamation point for 2 hours of waiting.
is a
I
legitimate.
think that's not enough.
All right, I'm queuing that up right now. Okay, let's see here. And we'll do the telestrator. Y'all, I'm going to switch back to the replay really quickly. Y'all think we're clear to switch to the replay? Probably so, right?
Do it quickly, but yes.
Yeah, I'm going to do it really quickly here. All right, so watch this. This is actually the replay. This is the replay, and I want you to watch right here. There's the useful red circle, okay? That is where you're going to watch. This is the replay. But right in there, in just a second, we should get a little bit of a puff. Come on, I'm pretty sure that... There it is, right there. See that? And we think that that's
Puff
venting
the
coming
magic dragon.
straight at the camera. And then it goes away in just a second. But it definitely looks like it's sort of hazy, like some sort of... There it went, away. So that's what we're looking at right there, y'all. Back to the live feed. We don't want to miss anything. This is live again. I got that right?
Yep, good job.
Okay, good. Whew.
Nailed it.
More venting.
So maybe some venting on the bottom, too? Anybody see anything on the bottom?
The other vent point is like, I'm estimating like 4 or 5 rings down below the top one. It's kind of high. It's kind of higher than you would expect almost.
Okay.
It would be normal to see condensation coming from the underside, though, I think, as they start chilling down parts of Raptor. I distinctly remember seeing a good amount of condensation coming from the bottom of Hopper.
Yeah, you will see that too, but the thrust section is at least 2 rings up inside of it, versus on Hopper, the Raptor stuck out the bottom. So it's not quite as apparent. You will still see some condensation coming out the bottom.
Right. Mary, did we hear any siren sounds?
No siren yet.
Okay.
I'm guessing the sirens will occur once this thing has enough fuel in it to actually be somewhat explosive. Let's just say that.
When it has enough fuel to be somewhat explosive.
I shouldn't say that. I should say has enough fuel to have explosive potential.
Right.
Yeah.
To be more of a thing, you know? So, all right, good deal. Yes, air quotes, somewhat explosive.
But hopefully a conflagration rather than a detonation.
Correct.
There you go.
Elon's always happy, really wants to point that out.
Yeah.
This didn't explode, it burned very fast.
It burned very quickly. Yeah, exactly.
No. Actually, things can burn very quickly and explode at the same time. Detonation is a very specific thing, but explosion can be many things.
All right. Again, if you're just joining us, we are hanging out. This is a live feed from Boca Chica. Boca Chica gal, Mary, is operating this camera right now, and we know Mary normally records those awesome videos that you see here on the channel every day, but we got her hooked up with some, I say we, you, chat, got her hooked up with some live stream broadcast gear so that we could pipe that live video signal, oh, there's the venting again up at the top, straight to you here live. So you're probably looking at, if I had to guess, we're probably on a 7 to 8 second delay from Mary to your view right now.
So has anyone reached out to Elon about using this to test Starlink?
Using, oh, there's a live stream?
No. Yeah,
Wait,
I mean, you guys have these cameras, so you're like, hey, we'd love to test Starlink.
I mean, I would be down. I'll make a hat that looks like a Starlink pizza box if it means that I get signal wherever I go. So,
yeah, that that would
Yeah,
be
I
an
humbly-
interesting one. Yeah.
I humbly submit my Land Rover for a Starlink antenna on the top. I will drive to the ends of the earth testing it.
see, I want a Starlink antenna array, so the entire roof with 4 different antennas that we can get 4 uplinks to Starlink and see if
Yeah,
that
it doesn't
would...
work like that.
It doesn't? That makes me sad.
Yeah.
Can I get 2?
I think there's actually there's going to be limits on proximity to neighboring sources.
Oh.
So they'll interfere and you'll get lower performance.
That's lame. All right. Well, that's a good point.
No, that's science.
That's not lame. That's science.
I mean, science can be annoying. Like that whole light speed thing. Yes, that's lame, but
So I can go for 1 Starlink and then other connections, like other 4G, 5G, whatever G we're on whenever Starlink gets operational, right?
yeah, I just don't think you get the advantage, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But
That does
there's
make sense.
There's a lot of unknowns still, so it could be that it might work, but I don't think it would. So
I'll fall back to my pizza box hat with the antenna on top of my hat. How's that sound?
That would be fabulous.
Does science
But
support that one?
Here's the thing, though. I think to make that an antenna, Starlink, you would have to have it stabilized. So you're going to need like a gimbaling, gyroscopically stabilized pizza box on your head. That would be a cool thing to build.
I would test it. Just like a helmet that has a gyro on top.
Right. Well, if you could do it perfectly and have it stay totally balanced, you could also put your drinks on it, and it would not spill them.
Yes, but would that degrade the stream performance if I put a couple
It
drinks on
might,
top
but
of
it
the
would
antenna?
look really cool. You could pretend to be R2-D2.
If you got the bottle that's just the right shape, I wonder if you could beamform it and get better reception by putting the right bottle on top. We're gonna have to test out multiple different beverage container designs on top of our gimbaled Starlink antenna hat and just see which one's best. This is why we get Scott on the stream. That's when we get the good ideas.
Oh, God. I'm not allowed to give you the good ideas because of my day job. I have to keep them all for that.
So we'll take this kind of good ideas, the okay ideas. Oh, and
I can already see a heartwarming video from Destin over at Smarter Every Day, where it's like a legitimate company idea. It's like, we're going to make this gimbal pizza box beverage holder for your head. It's like, wow, they really did a great job with that engineering. That's a really good idea.
I'm just saying that because I don't think Apple is interested in that market.
That specific market, nice.
Yeah.
Hey, the
number of markets Apple isn't interested in really breaks my heart. They don't even make routers anymore. But I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah. There was 2 things, actually, really quickly. Harry Stranger tossed the super chat in there and said, I want to give another thanks to Mary and the whole team, including the special guests. I no longer have to sit and watch these in awkward silence with yourself. And got the Jimmy B emote in chat there. Harry, thank you for that. And then we also got Doug. Great work, everybody. Happy to hear Scott Manley there. So, Scott, thanks again for joining us.
I'm happy to be here.
Over here in the control room, we've just got some information. Chris B said, confirmed it's getting frosty. Chris went back 5 minutes in 10 seconds and forward, and the second ring from the top has frosted over to the left.
Yeah, I was just doing the same thing, and the methane tank is definitely getting frosty.
It looks like the whole tank section there is different colored, and also it's like one ring at the very top, and then the methane tank section of the 2 or 3, and then there's another normal section, of about what 5 rings, and then below that there's the ox tank. Looks like that's also frosting up a little bit too.
That's a
That's
big.
so cool to
That's
see.
a big vent right
And
there.
more venting.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah. Do we think we're seeing it on the left, maybe because of the prevailing wind? We see the wind sort of going from right to left. So might it frost on one side before the other, or why would it frost on one side but not the other? That's the only thing I had was the wind blowing that way, you know?
Yeah, I think the wind is light. Well, also, you've got a flare stack.
Oh, that's right. There is a flare stack over there. We were talking yesterday about whether the radiant heat from the stack would actually impact the side of, like, hit the side of Starship and unevenly heat it or not.
I would love to do the math on that, but not right now.
Another time. Nice. Oh, so those what do we in terms of ring count, right? That one tank is frosty about halfway through the ring. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah, it's like because that's where the bulkhead is. No, the bulkhead's on the very top. But I guess the bulkhead kind of comes down into that top ring.
It
Which is why you
curves up.
Don't see.
Yeah. I'm not going to switch away from the live
No,
video
I'm correct
right
in my
now.
statement. The bulkhead, I believe, is on the very top. You just can't see it because it's dark right now. The pad lights are not hitting the top of the bulkhead. But I think we will start to see the very top get frosty in a minute.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, there's definitely 2 layers of frosting
Yeah.
now happening.
Yep. As
It's
much as I want to
absolute-
draw on the screen, I'm not going to cut away from the live feed right now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna tank primed, pressurized, and I see some cold air coming out the bottom as well. So
Yeah.
they're chilling that
Good
engine.
point.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. That's a
Yeah.
really, really great sign. They are actively working that plumbing. Look at that.
Yep.
And
You
more
s-
venting. Yay.
You see the bottom of Starship, and there's actually some cloud effect down coming out of the bottom. That's cool.
Elon was like, this needs to look cooler. My girlfriend Grimes wants it to look cooler, so we put a couple of fog machines on the bottom. It'll really snazz it up.
They're gonna get snow in Texas, right? That's their thing.
Nice. I would love to see it when there wasn't a lot of wind, so it just looks like a frosty beverage, just this condensation rolling down the sides of it, It's not condensation, the vapors rolling down the sides of it with no wind blowing it away. That'd be a really cool look.
I'm just happy that something's happening right now after last night. This is exciting.
I'm happy that something's happening this early in the window.
Yeah,
Yes.
that too.
They gotta make use of it.
Yeah.
Doss is on Eastern time, everybody. So thank him for being up to support this stream, which is probably going to run well into the night for him.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, we have such a great video feed coming in, and we have Mary out there. And if Mary's out there getting the video feed, I need to be here sharing the video feed with everybody via the live stream. So I'm good to
Doss
go.
and Mary are the two who are really sacrificing. Jack, Scott, and I have it easy on the West Coast.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping I don't need my dressing gown this time.
Your dressing gown?
It's become known as the dressing gown of doom because I'll wake up in the morning and some disaster has happened and I make a video, and so I've typically just been wearing that dressing gown.
Yeah, that is the one disadvantage of the West Coast, is that the news has broken before you wake up.
Before you wake
Yeah.
up.
But equally, though, I've found that by the time that I get to cover it, I've already managed to sort out the right story.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I'm sort of not always the first person, but I'm frequently the right person, let's say. Or
So-
the least wrong person. There, I think that's the right answer.
The least wrong person. So there's a great question. We keep seeing that vent happening from the top. Refresh my memory. Is it methane on top and LOX on bottom, or?
Correct.
That's correct.
Okay, so the top
And the
tank
header
is.
tank to the reverse.
Gotcha. Is that methane we see venting out of the side, up at the
No.
top?
They can't be methane. They're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. So what would be coming out of the top there? I don't
Good
know.
question.
Yeah.
You know, it might be
Maybe-
pressurant gas, because they don't have autogenous pressurization. So maybe they're bleeding that off as they're fueling it up.
That would make sense. Like you have something that was already in the tank, and then you're
Yeah, because they would
releasing
have had
that.
to fill it with inert gas. You don't want to be putting methane into a tank that's got air in it, otherwise it runs the risk of an explosion.
Ah,
So you purge that fuel tank prior with an inert gas.
so maybe that's what we're seeing there. Again, this is a rampant speculation. Not too
Right,
rampant.
not
This is
rampant speculation by people that aren't actually rocket scientists.
it's relatively well informed speculation.
Yes.
We've got some good guesses as to what's going on, but that was a really great question in chat. Thank you for that one.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is that neither of us actually work at SpaceX or any of the competitors. Therefore, we are free to rampantly speculate, unencumbered by what we might actually know.
Yeah. And we're getting confirmation over here from people at Boca Chica that there are hearing pumps at full speed. Mary, you hearing some pumps going out there?
Sorry.
Oh, no
What was
worries.
that?
We were asking about pumps. Are you hearing the pumps flowing or the fueling operations?
Yeah. I was just thinking we really need to figure out how to put a microphone somewhere
You
Yeah.
need a parabolic
and
microphone to point
catch
it
all
at that.
the noises.
Yeah, that's definitely something we should come up with a solution for. Something out there that's capturing the launch pad sound so we can sort of get that ambient launch pad noise. That's cool. So here is a question. We have not heard the siren yet. We have awesome...
Wait, sorry, Doss. We have venting from the lower tank now.
Oh,
Quite
jeez.
clear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, you're right. There's another hole a couple rings down, huh?
Yeah.
God.
How exciting is that, Mary? Does that get your heart rate going?
Yeah. I think it's awesome.
This is what we've been waiting for, right? So my question was,
really.
do we need a battery swap right now?
That's a good call, Doss. We are... Let's see.
139 live.
Let's do a battery swap, Mary. That's
Yeah.
a very good point. Before this gets
Okay.
too exciting.
And to be sure, we have another camera that's recording what's going on, right?
Yes.
Okay, so just in case it completely hits the fan, we do have another camera locally recording out there. But let's do this. We're going to expect a loss of signal on the feed. Mary is going to NASCAR pit stop the battery and get the new batteries in, and then confirm with me, Mary, whenever you're ready to go back up. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. We're going to switch over to the feed. I turned my lights off because it's more comfortable. There you go. And let us bring this back up. So we're going to lose the live feed for just a second here. We're losing the live feed from Mary. So, Mary, you are clear to proceed on changing that battery whenever you're ready. Go ahead. Again, while Mary does that, we're expecting the live feed to be down. We're putting a brand new battery in the camera. We'll get that spooled back up again. Hanging out, we'll do introductions really quickly. We don't want to miss anything, and we know we've got that camera recording. But I am the host. I'm talking. I'm clicking all the stream buttons and stuff. My name's John Galloway. She's already good. I didn't even need to do the entire thing. Mary, I'll push a command.
He's
Okay?
a seasoned professional at this point.
Yeah, jeez.
Doss,
Using his
sorry
real
to
name
interrupt.
at last, so that's legit. It's professional.
I know, that was so fast. So I'm John. We've got Scott Manley as a special guest over there.
Wait, stop.
What?
Everybody stop talking.
Wait, what?
We have a breaking news.
Breaking news.
Doss, I need you to go to Elon's Twitter and
Oh,
see
what?
what's going on.
Hang on a second. Copy link. Let's bring it up in the background here.
I just saw this. That's
Doss,
crazy.
don't spoil
Commentary
it.
is quite entertaining. MST3K.
Look at this. Look at this, y'all. Hang on a second. Let's bring up my computer
Who did
here.
these special effects? I can totally see the wires.
Look right here. We've got Chris B. NASA spaceflight. Prop loading of SN4 has begun. And Elon Musk himself says commentary is quite entertaining. It's MST3K. We were talking about that yesterday. Mystery Starship 3000.
I love how he switched his icon to Deus Ex, one of the greatest games ever.
Mary, do we have numbers from you? Over there on the remote, do we have are we getting numbers,
Yeah.
Mary? All right, copy.
Yes,
let's see if we can switch back to this remote feed. Elon, we appreciate you, but we don't want to miss any of this. Let's pop over really quickly. Yes. Whew.
And we're back.
And we're back live.
We're back and we get Frosty Tanks.
All right.
And-
So what this means is we really do need the little peanut gallery avatars up front so that each of us, that's basically mandatory at this point.
I'll capture your zoom and I'll put a filter on it so it's just your silhouette. And I'll need everybody to run a green screen. That'd make my life easier. We'll do a Mystery Starship Theater 3000.
If you got to make sure you get the headphones on me right, always,
Yeah.
One ear only.
One ear only. Nice. Once again, y'all, thank you so much for joining us. We are standing by for this test of Starship. And I don't even know if standing by is the right terminology anymore. We're witnessing the test of Starship. We're witnessing the fuel
It
flowing
is a
into the
test
tank.
of sorts, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So we thank everybody for joining us. We bring these cameras out here. Again, Boca Chica gal running the camera with this fantastic view of the pad. And we sat here for a long time last night, and we saw some flare nonsense. Flare shenanigans is probably the right way to say it. And then tonight, the frosty goodness is what we were waiting for.
Looking really spooky, like, Scottish moorlands.
It really does have a Ridley Scott vibe to it. We need to get a couple more super chats in here. We'll send Mary anamorphic lens. We'll get those beautiful blue, sideways anamorphic flares. If you don't know what an anamorphic flare is right now, just Google it. They look beautiful.
Yep.
Imagine Starship with some nice anamorphic glass. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic.
I'm a fan
bit,
of spherical. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you get less pin cushion. We could go into a long camera nerdery discussion, but I'll stop there.
Are y'all talking about putting like a fisheye lens on this, or flares or something? Come on, it's so pretty. Don't mess with it.
So I'm being sarcastic.
I know.
But there's a type of glass that's very popular in filmmaking. That's called anamorphic, and suffice to say that what it does is it causes a flaring on screen that's very, very distinct and very, very noticeable. Like
anamorphic
J.J.
lenses.
Abrams.
Yeah. So anamorphic
Go ahead,
lenses
Scott.
are used to put a super wide screen movie onto regular 35mm film, and that means the lens flares are elliptical rather than circular.
It
That's
stuffs
what
it
it
into
is.
the wrong container.
Yes. So it lets you use cheaper film, but people like the look sometimes.
Gotcha.
So you can tell what it's filmed on based on the shape of the lens flare.
I like this. Happy Hacking said it probably means Elon was indeed trolling us with his personal flare lever yesterday, where every time we said, okay, we're going to change the battery, and then the flare would go up. Somebody was watching, and somebody was hitting a button when we were indisposed, I guess.
I think they should put like this pipe organ on that and make it make noise. Bring that to Burning Man. Oh wait, it's cancelled. Well.
Annie E over here says, is this commentator one of the ones that was screaming when the booster rockets landed after Elon shot a Tesla into space? If so, his screaming made it twice as emotional for me. Yes, I was one of the nerds who was out there on the causeway during the Falcon Heavy landings, and you may have heard me say, oh my gosh, and y'all, and dude a lot, because I was at a loss for words.
I was in an office in San Francisco, and I was doing the same thing.
Yeah?
There was no crowds, it was just a screen and a few people.
I was in a college library. Trying my best.
I was
not
at Playa
to
Linda
scream.
Beach.
God.
Wait, where were you, Michael?
In a college library, so I could not scream.
You couldn't
you should
scream.
have
Oh, you
anyways.
showed far too much restraint.
You could have screamed.
It was hard.
Technically, you could have screamed. What is a library, not a cop?
But yeah, I was at Playa Linda Beach at the boardwalk there. I'm just so thankful I could be there for that demo flight, because test flights, if you're watching this, you might agree. You probably should agree. Test flights are awesome. How cool when you get to see something unique and interesting happen for the very first time, and there's a little bit of extra uncertainty involved, and you're just kind of like, well, maybe they don't even really know what's going to happen. So it's super cool that we get to see this, and what a great memory of Falcon Heavy demo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
One of these days.
Scott, you got to come out and see one of those things launch, man.
Yeah, this is what happens. Day job and hobby, very hard to, and family, so hard to line up.
Yep.
Scott, did you see the NRO 71, the Delta Heavy off the West Coast last year in January?
I tried and I couldn't. Yeah, because I was waiting for it from San Francisco, and it didn't go. That
was one of those ones that scrubbed a whole bunch of times, and it scrubbed it right at ignition, and so when it finally went, it was very cathartic. Not like first time off at Falcon Heavy demo.
I had been sitting on that for so long, I remember. So
yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, when the final Delta 2 went up, that was sitting on the pad, and I was trying to get this thing where I would do like a video from the Thor,
Oh,
from
I
the
remember
Delta
this
2
well.
and the Delta 4, and then me and Das were at the launch site.
Yep.
And we go to drive back, and my car battery is dead.
It wasn't the right type of car, Scott. That's why the battery
It
was
wasn't
dead.
the right type of car.
Yeah, I think from then on, every time for Vandenberg launches, we now
Elon's going to
we
tweet
take
a
the
correction about
what?
a commentary based on that comment we just made.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
But yeah,
What are we saying?
that last Delta 2, that was one heck of a
Electric
That was
cars are great.
emotional, man. It was amazing because you'd randomly run into people in the town who were like, "Oh yeah, I came here for this. I've worked on it for 30 years. This is my family." It was amazing.
That was a beautiful launch. I'm so glad your car didn't scrub it.
That's my claim to fame, is being stuck with Scott Manley when his car wouldn't start at like T-8 hours or something, right, Scott?
Yeah, technically it was my wife's car, but yes.
Technically.
And the funny thing was the rocket, the tower was stalled as well. They couldn't pull the tower.
I sat next to that Delta 2 for, it was like 4 or 5 hours, and I wanted to see the rollback, and all I saw was one little booster, a nozzle on one of the SRBs. For 5 hours is all we saw.
Yeah, I had a long exposure ready to go so that when the MST moved, I would get the streaks from the lights, and I had a time lapse going, and I was all super stoked to get. Yeah, we just sat there and waiting. It was like a 5-hour wait for that thing to roll. And
Oh,
it just
yeah.
never did.
So I'm going to roll us back around to Starship here real quick.
Yeah, we should probably pay attention to the first ever fueling.
Yeah.
Of,
Yeah, I'm gonna say
Starships.
it looks like the frost is kind of backed off a bit. So, is that my imagination?
I don't know. Does anybody
No,
want
that
to
looks right.
scrub back and forth maybe? I mean, there's a lot of vapor coming off the bottom.
It's shifted certainly.
Yeah. I will say this happened during the nitrogen cryogenic pressure test. So I don't think it's a definitive bad sign, but it's not like it's not a
It's not the
it's not like-
worst sign that
it's
we've
not
seen.
a worse sign, but it's not like a oh my god, it's getting better kind of sign probably.
Right. So you mean the backing off of some frost, or what are you referring
Yeah,
to
the
there?
backing off of some frost.
Gotcha.
We saw that like multiple times pretty clearly during the nitrogen test. Would kind of like go down a little bit and then come back up. So we'll see.
Yeah.
A little bit more venting from the top there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gosh, it looks cool.
I'm impressed that y'all noticed that. Like, it's coming straight at the camera from this vantage point, and to see that little, I want to make the noise every time I see it. All right. So again, everybody, I know that I keep repeating myself, and when I do live streams, people are like, why does he keep repeating itself? It's because more and more people keep showing up in the live stream, and they may not know what's going on. We are watching the first ever methane fueling of a Starship. That's SN4 out there, and they are, for the first time, putting an amount of methane in it. We don't know if any went in last night or not, but we know that tonight, given the frost and given all the venting, that's got a pretty significant amount of both methane and oxidizer, the LOX in it right now. So that is what we are standing by watching. This is definitely sort of a history in the making thing, right? When starships are flying, you can say that you're on YouTube, and your kids will be like, what's YouTube? But you were there watching as we put methane, like we're doing it, whatever.
We don't have the dances to do TikTok.
We don't have the dances. I can't. I'm that's out of my skill set. Sorry.
Yeah, describe the Starship fueling through the medium of interpretive dance.
So how many likes on the video for DOS to dance on stream?
What? 1 million, and you can imagine me putting my pinky on the side of my mouth real quick. There's a lot of chats and stuff popping through that I haven't been keeping up with. Mike
The like
Money.
count is going up pretty quick.
Sorry, say that again. Oh, the like
The
count.
like count is going up pretty quick.
Oh wait, I should like it, shouldn't I? Okay, I
mean-
better do that.
Oh my gosh! When you said that, I looked over. It was in the 700s, and now we're already over
It's
9.
going up quick. DOS might be in trouble.
It's not
Uh-oh.
compulsory or anything. I think we've misunderstood my role in this stream.
We just broke 1K.
Nicholas Jacobic, thank you for the super chat that came through a little bit there. Sorry I missed it. Aces, Dawn, great job. Thanks for everything. From a Scott Manley KSP University grad. There you go, Scott. We've got a Scott
Wow.
Manley University grad in chat. Hef Williams says,
I should hand out diplomas.
you should hand out diplomas. Nice. But they'd be Kerbal diplomas, and they would be made of explodium, right? Which is sort of dangerous. Hef Williams says, hi, folks. Watching this from Perth, Western Australia. Great video feed. Thank you so much, Mary, and the NASA spaceflight team for bringing this to us. You are welcome, Hef. Everybody, just say thanks to Mary out there, because she's the one pressing the buttons on the camera. We've got a Drom saying, hey, guys, great stream as always. Appreciate you, Drom. And then Joseph, welcome to the red team. Don't stand too close to the rocket as they're fueling methane. And I glance back over at the likes, and it's like 500 or 600 likes.
Yeah. I think we just have to make jokes about DOS every stream now.
I mean, how many likes to show the Bluebird cam? I'm just saying.
Oh, that's a good question. You beat me to it. I'm honestly kind of mad that you beat me to it.
Okay, we'll say 2,000 likes, and DOS gets to plug his Bluebird cam at the end of the stream.
DOS gets. I'm not switching off of this video. There's not anything you can make me do right now. Once it's over, yeah. Well, we can show some Bluebird, some launch pad fueling action for the baby Bluebirds on my back deck after this
Right
is
on
over.
cue, some sort of bird just flew in front of the vehicle right on cue. So there you go.
The birds want to see the Bluebirds too, see?
I'm definitely getting a lot more vapor from below, or condensation on below that.
Chris B said that if we don't reach 2,000 likes, we're going to change this to a feed of the Bluebirds instead of Starship. So, it's more of a threat than a promise, I guess.
Wow.
What sort of stream do you think this is, NASA Spaceflight?
Hey,
Come on.
look at that! Another bird. I think that
yeah.
might be an omen. That was a. Oh, look at that.
Thanks, Tim, for the super chat. If you want to get on Zoom, you're more than welcome to.
Tim, K
But no
Faso,
pressure.
dude. Oh, it's just, we got the cast of thousands hanging out tonight. Tim said, come on, guys, we got to get DOS to dance. Why am I reading this out loud? Hit that like button. Also, thanks to NASA Spaceflight and Mary for the great feed.
What's up, Tim? This is giving me serious vibes of sitting on top of Nomad's roof with you for all of the hopper tests. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys, it's him, Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut.
Yeah.
It's... If we get too many more people in this stream, there's going to be some sort of critical mass event that occurs. We got to be careful.
Yeah, count down till Elon calls in as a special guest.
He's welcome anytime.
Oh, jeez.
He can play as his tunes, right?
I mean, I'm not in charge. Who's in charge? Somebody.
Hey, Tim is saying he'll Zoom with us, so I'll get in Discord and get this going together.
Yeah,
Oh,
during the hopper test, me and Das were at PAX West, right?
We were. I think so. Yeah, we were out at the Kerbal shindig.
Yeah, and I had
weren't
to
we?
make a video like from a hotel room and reverse engineer what had happened.
Yeah.
It was fun.
We sat in that little Mexican dive joint talking about the test, didn't we? And we live streamed it on your channel, I think.
We talked about Kerbal too.
Yeah.
At the Mexican place, yeah. Everyone had their opinions.
Gotcha. So, Jack, were you zoom there with the link?
Yeah, I'm. Should I just send him a link? Is that what I should do?
Yeah,
I'll take care of it. I got
DOS
it.
can do it.
Yeah, I got it. Let me control that there if you don't mind.
And
All
while
right, yeah,
they fo-
thanks.
while
Maybe we
they
can do
focus
another
on that,
trivia quiz.
Another live trivia quiz.
And we should also mention, again, this is a test, the first ever time they're filling a Starship with methane and liquid oxygen together. There is a chance that something could go wrong. We hope that does not happen, but again, this is a test, so there is always a higher chance that there could be some sort of anomaly, so just keep that in mind. They do have a very rapid prototyping design, which is the Starship test campaign. So fail
Move fast
quickly
and
and
break
often
things.
and correct them. And correct the failures is SpaceX's philosophy. So you never know what can happen. So just keep that in mind.
That's why we're
That's
watching
what makes it
this.
fun, right? Yeah, exactly.
That is why we're
That's-
tuning in.
You just
Well,
don't
we're
ever
not-
know what you're gonna get.
Right, we're not tuning in to see an explosion. But if we saw that, we would be.
Yeah, no. To be clear,
Entertained.
no explosions.
We don't
no
wanna see
explosions
it,
are
but-
wanted. No.
I'm just going to toss out that we're tuning in to see history. Whatever happens, we
Yeah.
want to witness it, right?
History.
There you
It's
go.
part of the steps that were necessary to get Starship on the moon and Mars.
I'm just disappointed that there's no footage of exploding F1 rockets, you know, when they were blowing those up every week.
You mean no
Yeah, imagine if there was.
no public footage?
I've never seen any footage of exploding F1 rockets.
All right, hey everyone, stand by for me. Give me about 10 seconds here. We're going to try some more special guest magic. Just stand by for me. All right, so we've got another special guest.
All right,
so we've got another special guest.
right.
Who's playing my audio back, Tim?
That was me.
Is that you?
Amateur.
Jeez, it's a rookie mistake, and you
I
hate to
just
see
wanted
it.
to spice things up a little bit. Is that too much to ask?
A lot of flare action.
So
Whoa, flare!
let's try this again. We have another special guest with us in our Mystery Starship Theater 3000 hangout. Guest, introduce yourself. Let's see if anybody can guess who you are now that I've said your name out loud.
Yeah, I'm a guy named Tim, and I like rockets, and they're shiny, and I like seeing shiny rockets with Jack on top of buildings. This is the next best thing.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing we need here, I think there's an anomaly on the screen. The flamey end. I'm confused which way it's pointed.
Oh God,
It's pointed
I'll tell you,
sideways.
I've had years of experience with this pointy end up, flamey end down orientation thing, and this confuses me. This confuses me a lot. I mean, Jack and I saw one time Starhopper had a flame coming out the top of it, bigger than the flame coming out the bottom by a lot. So
Yeah, you never know. Flaming end up sometimes is a normal operation. You don't know.
A normal?
A
To me,
normal
this looks like
operation.
flamey end adjacent to rocket.
Yeah.
Oh, as long as the flamey end isn't completely enveloping the rocket, right? We're good.
It is making a nice image, though. You can really see where the flame is
Yeah.
on the reflection.
So, what are we thinking from a frost perspective right now? Frost increasing, frost receding. Tim, you're new. You're here. What do you think? You've been watching for a bit, right?
yeah, based on, again, I'm not necessarily a frost orientation specialist, but it does seem like it is reduced slightly from what I've seen. But they do, when you're watching something like this, it's kind of like watching paint dry. Sometimes you stare at it so long you can't tell if it's, I don't know if paint drying sometimes gets wetter or drier when you're looking at it, but it kind of seems to be the case this time where you're like, is it? Yeah, I can't tell.
We were like scrolling the video forward and backwards to try and like compare the frames. Almost
We
how
are
they
seeing
discovered
more
Pluto,
vented
right?
From the left-hand side right now. We were not
Wow,
seeing
look at that.
previously.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
That's probably liquid oxygen.
Yeah.
The
Maybe-
new vent.
What's really cool, I think, is the fact you can see the reflection in the Starship reflecting the flare stack. So you can see how that flare stack is actually quite in front of it compared to, what we're seeing.
Yeah.
Like, it looks flat because the camera's so far away. It looks like it's to the left or to the right, depending. But it's actually quite in front of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can
The
see
reflection reflects that.
the reflection, the line, almost like one of
Yes.
those streak shots, the laser beam
Yeah.
streaks of the liftoff, right?
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reflection is almost down the center line of the shininess, so therefore it's significantly in front of the rocket, not
Yep,
off to
right.
the side. If it was off to the side, it'd be reflecting way off on the right side. The
Yeah.
perspective in a shot like this that's so tight is really hard to comprehend. I mean, Jack, I don't even hardly recognize this, and how much time have we spent out zooming around those parts, and like it's hard to tell exactly what angle we're looking at, and it's just so disorienting because they've changed so much in 6 months. I mean, it's almost unrecognizable.
And that's
Yeah,
exactly how
it's-
they mid hobbits look small.
it's a trick of the perspective.
Yeah, you're right though. The telephoto lens really does. It squishes the background all together into sort of one plane, so it can be hard to tell where exactly that stack is at.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask really quick, Mary, are you hearing anything different right now with that large vent coming out the bottom portion there?
No, not right now. I hear the inverter.
The inverter out there.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Again, that the battery on the inverter, is that one fully charged or is that one charging up? What's the status on that thing?
That's the one we just swapped out.
That's the one we just swapped out. All right. We will definitely get you a better solution than having to have that fan going in your ear out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, y'all, I cannot say enough. We've got sort of the cast of thousands going now. We've got Scott Manley, we've got Tim Dodd, we've got the NASA spaceflight nerds that are hanging out. But all of this is possible because Boca Chica gal, Mary, who I keep referring to, I was just talking to, is sitting out on the side of the road. The camera, she's about 1.5 miles away, so a safe distance away. But she's the one who's operating this camera and bringing us this feed. So one more time, I want to see some love in chat for Mary. We could all be sitting here looking at nothing if it weren't for her being out there. So Mary, from everybody, thank you again for doing this.
Yeah, forget likes for Das Dancing or Bluebirds or anything. Get the likes in there for Mary. Really
Yeah.
putting in the hours, day after day after day after day. I can keep saying after day this entire stream because she's literally out there every single day. She lives in Boca Chica. She gets up, she goes out there and documents this stuff. She goes to sleep. And sometimes not even that. So it's literally, there's zero exaggeration. And if you watch these videos that we put out daily, it's all because of what she does. So
Yep.
I have a little sliver of chat in my view right now, and it's just, I can't even keep up with it. It's just hearts and thank you, Mary, and that's echoed by all of us, I'm sure.
Yep.
Mary's been out there for, I mean, so obviously since the beginning, but you know, documenting this better than anybody else for well over a year. Really, I'd say starting in 2019, like probably every single day of 2019, significant documentation. So
2018 even.
yeah, 2018.
2018 was when they started building the stainless steel. Because I remember I made a Christmas decoration of a hopper.
Of course you did.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I think some of like the original shots that we have way back when of like Boca Chica as the dirt basically just settling. And remember it was like, oh yeah, they trucked in some dirt. It's got to sit there for 3 years. Like I think you were even shooting it back then, weren't you, Mary?
Yeah, some. I just kind of filled in when Nomad would be out of town. And I'd post some pictures.
We definitely appreciate the fact that you got bit by the bug because it's getting to the point where it's hard to keep you away from getting pictures and video for us, right?
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's definitely true.
It is.
Oh gosh,
It's
so
a tough one.
it's a tough life. Nice. There's so much venting happening down on that lower. That would be the liquid oxygen is the lower tank, right?
Yeah.
So, God.
All I was going to say is that, you know, Mary sometimes captures just stuff that many people would dismiss as being just weird and random and interesting. And then people in the forums take them apart and they realize this is a specific piece of welding equipment that does this kind of weld. This is what the plan is. So we've had that kind of information nonstop a lot, thanks to Mary and our reconnaissance, let's say.
Yeah, it's a reconnaissance. I like that. I mean, imagine like building the space shuttle and having these sorts of images or whatever during that process, right? We've never had this sort of coverage available to the public that gets so many people excited about it for as big of projects as have happened in the past. Like it's unprecedented, I guess is the right word, right?
It's so far behind closed doors, behind some military fence. This type of stuff, even if or when it did happen, no one got to see it. And for better or worse, I think there's probably times where the people at SpaceX are, you know, like, why did we have to have this, you know, where people are seeing every bit of it. But at the same time, I think in the long run, it leads to a lot of extra public excitement, a lot of extra people paying attention to spaceflight for the first time in decades. And yeah, I just love it.
I definitely agree with that.
It's the same effect, I think, as the Tesla being launched on Falcon Heavy Demo 1, because I mean, you meet some people who aren't into that, and I can't help them with their horrible worldview. But you know, that one event inspired so many people and got them interested in spaceflight. And I think we're seeing a lot with Starship doing the same thing, and it's really cool that they, you know, they haven't walled us off, because hopefully they do see the value in getting so many people so excited about the future. Because ultimately, I say this a lot, but we want our darn flying car, and obviously this is the flying Starship, but we want the future. I think all of us we're sort of we've had it with the super 1970s state of things, and we want to move into the 21st century, and this is sort of like a glimmer of that, and it's really nice to see.
Yeah, I got a shuttle hugger over here whispering in my ear in the control room saying there are officially 53 official photos of shuttle construction at Palmdale. So I think Mary takes 3 times that in a day out there at Boca Chica. But that was Chris B.
That
with
breaks my
NASASpaceflight.
heart.
Yeah.
It's tragic.
That breaks my heart. Wow.
So do we
But
have
it's
any-
also
Grown up.
Oh, the drone's up.
Oh, drone up. So that what
they're getting. That's good sign.
sirens? Did we ever hear that siren yet?
No, no siren.
Okay.
Yep. Usually the sign was big flares, drone, and sirens. So we're waiting on the sirens.
Yeah.
all right. Here, let's do a little test. I'm going to step away for a beverage refresh. Hopefully something happens.
Oh, nice. Jack, just step. Okay, you're stepping away already. Good. We'll see if something happens as Jack steps away. We'll just have to get everybody stepping away because it always happens when we blink, right?
So Tim, what is your opinion on static fire or just wet dress rehearsal tonight?
Well, they didn't end up doing any kind of spin prime test, right? I mean, this is the first.
No, we have
Yeah.
not seen anything like that yet, because last night's test was scrubbed, apparently.
Right. It seems to be any time they put any kind of engine on any vehicle before they do any kind of prime, it's going to be a spin, you know, a spin test of the turbo pumps, and just kind of you know, potentially even just a wet dress rehearsal first, make sure the plumbing and everything's good to go. And then, so, you know, I remember with Starhopper campaign, you know, again, Jack and I spent a lot of time down there, and we kind of started to get used to like the order of things. If the engine came off, you could pretty much assume when it came back on, they're going to do at least a fuel up test, like a wet dress rehearsal, and then some kind of spin prime test, and then the actual static fire, and then hopefully go for that. So assuming things go well, we might see a big cloud of liquid oxygen hitting the ground really quickly for a brief moment of time. But after that, it's, that's pretty much it then.
And the one hint that we did have towards that direction were that the road closures starting May 5th said that it was the primary window for a static fire / prime test, or sorry, pre-burner test. The road closures for these first 3 days do not have a reason given, so we're not sure, but that does seem likely that this is just a spin prime test, possibly, definitely a wet dress rehearsal for the first 3 days. But the one thing that's making me question that was Elon's tweet tonight saying Raptor fire soon. We don't know when soon means, but the fact that he tweeted that right before the testing started kind of makes me, that gives like just a little bit of doubt into my mind as to what's going to actually happen today.
Right, but he works on Elon time.
Yeah, that's also true.
So Tim, you were saying the spin prime test and the dump of locks out of the bottom. Did I understand that correctly? Like when they do that test, they're running stuff through the engines, and that's why it looks like it dumps out the bottom. Or what were you referring to there?
Yeah, they'll literally do, and actually, Scott, maybe you can help me understand this. They'll run spin tests of the pumps where they'll fire up a pre-burner, but I don't understand how it's possible to actually when you have a.
It's really hard to do it, but yeah, I mean, you'll use the head pressure of the tank and just run. First of all, you'll just run gas and liquid through those system, and that'll spin things up. And it's hard to run one pre-burner because of the way it's all wired up or plugged up. I'm not an expert on their exact protocols though, so.
It's all good, Scott. We kept saying we're the roadside rocket scientists here, right? So
well, I'm just an internet rocket scientist. So, you know, like...
No, I'm less than that. I'm a bedroom rocket scientist.
Bedroom rocket. Can we say that on the stream? Is that?
I'm just going to be clear that rocket science is actually surprisingly easy. Rocket engineering is
go.
where the real pros are.
Oh gosh, the science is just the theoretical math, right? The engineering, actually making the tank hold the methane, is the hard part, right?
Yep.
And the science is pretty well solved and pretty, I mean, it's just equations really. Yeah, it's figuring out how to make that as efficient and do as much work as possible. That's where they just really get all the little dot the i's and cross the t's.
Yeah, there's so much venting coming out of the side of again, it's the LOX tank on the bottom, right? And that looks like it's venting straight out of Starship. Am I seeing that wrong?
Oh, you're definitely seeing condensation building up, and you're definitely seeing frost on the lower portion. It's for sure getting less. It's getting more matte, less shiny. So they're certainly seeing, we're certainly seeing some actual frost. So they are filling.
Yeah, and then up
That's
on the
fill line too.
we haven't seen any of the vents up on the top. That little vent valve that was sort of venting straight at the camera. I've been watching for that, and I haven't seen that go. So, do we think that the top still has methane in it? Like the top, is that as frosty, or maybe they're just doing LOX on the bottom now?
The top looks normal to me again, but
Yeah.
what do I know?
Yeah,
Also,
I mean,
I'm back. Hey.
again, somebody put up the rampant speculation banner, the disclaimer across the bottom, but I haven't seen as much activity up on the top in terms of frost or little psh, psh, vents coming out the side, but the bottom is definitely going to town right now.
Mm-hmm.
This is it's like engineers who actually work on this stuff are going to be like, what did that guy just say? Really?
I gotta know. Speaking of speculation, I have just been still scratching my head, really hoping we hear from, someone at SpaceX Elon, about what those auxiliary thrusters are on the lunar lander Starship version. Like what?
We were talking
You
about
mean
that
the
a little
landing
bit last night.
thrusters?
Yes.
I mean,
Let's-
the
okay,
logical
so-
thing is Draco's because NASA has already approved that, right? That's
That
the
would make
logical
sense,
thing.
I guess.
But
But that goes against the don't use additional propellant. That would introduce a complexity. So my gut was some sort of methane cold gas thruster or something. but is
No,
that
they
even a
won't use
thing?
cold gas. Because they've talked about hot gas RCS, and that's something that NASA specifically cited.
Okay.
So
Huh.
By the way, I've heard you mentioned that in a video, Scott. Where was there something where NASA cited concerns over hot gas thrusters or something, or
oh, where did I get that from? That might have been a thing. That might have been a source.
That might have been a source. Nice.
This is the
Moving right along.
problem that I mean, look, Elon has talked about hot gas thrusters, right, as being the ultimate goal. And that to me seems like the thing that NASA would be most concerned about, because nobody has done like hot gas thrusters. I mean, Russia's done it on the Buran,
Right.
but no one in the US has.
Is there a difference like in the power output from cold versus hot, or I mean,
Better specific impulse.
Yeah, there's
that's
order-
what it's all about.
it's a lot more efficient.
yeah. But the thing is that I've wondered about is, Elon again has talked a lot about using, Methalox hot gas thrusters as opposed to whatever it is, the hypergolics that are on Super Dracos, and it makes me wonder if if these would be some kind of hot gas thruster that still runs on Methalox, so they don't have to carry an additional propellant along or refuel an additional propellant, especially if they someday want to start doing ISRU, like on Mars.
Right.
You got to be able to have it be, something.
This is for the moon, and they can't do ISRU with methane on the moon anyway,
Right.
because there's not enough carbon.
Right.
Big flare.
Whoa.
Oh, there
flare.
it goes. That actually looks like a sign
Flamethrower.
that the wind has died down maybe a little bit, because that flare is going up a lot.
It's true, but it could be to do with the amount of gas coming through it.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's like up at a
That
45
looks so
degree angle.
cool.
Yeah. Look at how that lights everything up. You can see the haze from the beach air, right? Because this isn't a couple hundred yards from the literal beach, and you can see sort of that haze when you get out there. It's so humid down on the coast in South
Yeah.
Texas.
That frost is pretty apparent right now, so
Yeah.
lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. We're into King of
Anybody
the Hill
have
mode.
some weenies or maybe a or something we can roast? Chestnuts.
Marshmallows.
Marshmallows.
Remember when the field kind of
Ooh, there's
fired
look
for
at
a
the
bit?
bottom.
Oh, there we
There's
go.
another vent on the
Top
side.
venting
Ooh,
on the top, yeah.
Looks like,
Everything's venting.
Is it coming out of the bottom?
I saw something
I
come
swear,
out of the
somebody.
bottom. Yeah,
I
something
thought
came
I
out of the bottom.
saw. Okay, I'll shut up.
That could have been one of those spin prime tests. I'm looking back on my browser.
Yeah, roll
it
it back,
was
Tim.
pretty violent, honestly.
It could have just been a dense chunk of condensation falling down, but I don't know. I just thought I saw like a brief spurt
Yeah.
downwards from the bottom
It definitely
area.
was. I just rewinded it. I don't. It's not that much though, but it could have been like just the liquid oxygen. Oh, I don't know.
Boy, she flaring.
Yeah, that flare is nuts right now.
So that happened at.
Like taking notes.
I'm taking notes.
Way to go. No, good.
Somebody
that's
has to write a
good call.
story, right?
Somebody has to, yeah.
Notice now the condensation has died
Whoa,
off
whoa.
after that.
Look at that.
Oh,
Nice.
Whoa! Yes!
Double vent. Like,
I keep looking at
Triple.
I mean, that's a big vent from that top vent, the top.
No, I'm all
hole,
hyped
valve.
up. Thank you, Mary. This is just as good as being there. Thank you so much.
yeah.
We get it, Starship. You vape. Like, come on, really?
It's awesome.
Look at that. See, that makes me wonder if they actually did what they wanted to do, and that was the spin prime test that we saw. And now we see condensation dying off already on the lower tank, and now they're depressing already. Could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be logical for them to do their rehearsal and then depress, and then
Mary,
come
did you
back
hear
for a
any
proper
sirens?
test.
Mary, did you hear any sirens based on that? No,
Huh.
because there was that notice to the locals there that they were going to put out sirens to warn them if there was any hazardous operations about to start. But who knows?
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely something because we sort of, to recap, we thought we saw something that might have been a dump from the bottom. And Tim was saying earlier that when they do the spin prime test, we would expect some flow coming out of the bottom, not sort of the nice gassing out to the side, but like a big chunk or something. And then we saw all of that venting up at the top, the middle valve and the top valve. So something happened. Something happened right
It
there.
should also be noted that if that was the spin prime, that does not mean that they are done tonight necessarily. They could easily be now recycling for a pre-burner test or something like that.
Right.
We
don't know.
Yeah. That's almost the beauty of this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying that's almost the beauty of this. We don't know. Like we get to sit
Yeah,
here.
it's just interesting enough. Once again.
Yeah. I honestly think it might be a little bit more boring if it was like, okay, in 14 minutes we will try and we're all sitting here like, okay, 14 minutes, whatever. I sort of like the fact that we're all like watching and everybody's eagle-eyed saying, oh, wait, did that just happen? Did we just see a spin prime test? Like that almost makes it a little bit more real for me.
It's the perfect quarantine material, honestly. Where like you have nothing else to do. You're just like, let's watch some pixels.
Get your beverage.
Get your beverage.
Yeah, beverage check. I'm just drinking Coke. What does everybody have?
I'm still on sweet tea over here.
Blood Orange IPA from 21st Amendment.
Oh yeah.
I'm on wishing I had water with me, but too afraid to leave my computer.
Same.
I think I might bring out the whiskey soon.
Jeez, I'm missing out over here. I mean, Michael, if you leave to go get a drink, something might happen. So, I mean, if you need a drink.
I'm not going to get a drink now.
There goes Scott. Oh, as Scott gets up, that's when we get some more flaring.
Here comes.
Got a nice big vent. That was nice.
Yep.
So you guys in chat can see it.
Yeah.
Well, I got White Dog, which is 62.5% alcohol.
62 and a half. I don't have
Means
your,
as good as a hand sanitizer.
62.5%, not proof. So
Not
124
proof. Yes.
proof.
Yes. You
It'll
could also probably
sanitize
use it as
your
rocket
inside.
fuel.
So it looks like everything's sort of calmed down, right? We don't see as much of the venting on the bottom. We're getting a couple spurts at the top, but nothing continuous.
Yeah.
I
think we can speculate we saw a spin prime, but not definitively say we saw that, and that we still don't know, again, if that means they're going to detank completely, or if they're going to recycle and do another test of some sort.
Yeah.
I mean, again, rampant speculation, but my gut would say if that was a spin prime, they would want to put it into some sort of known safe state, and then they would want to look at the data, make sure they got the data that they expected. There's nothing out of field or out of family, whatever the appropriate term is.
Yep.
And then, if the data looked appropriate, then they would proceed to whatever else they have on the menu for tonight.
Everything's exactly down the middle, right?
Yeah.
Everything's as they expected it to be.
Yep. And I mean, I
Well,
totally.
we could say cold, shiny, and straight, or yeah, some sort of modification of Tori's famous thing there.
The hot, straight, and normal. I'll roll that hand grenade in the chat. I'll say it out loud. The hot, straight, and normal. The cold, spun, and shiny. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, something like that. I haven't been scrolling through chat as much. We've got so many people hanging out. We appreciate everybody spending the evening here, whatever time zone you're in, watching what's going on here with Starship. I know I haven't been reading as much chat and stuff because we've got so many people hanging out chatting, but we do appreciate y'all sort of sharing this event with us. It's definitely a deal. We've made it an event here at some point. This is like the rocket nerd social distancing hangout,
I think we should all be sitting around watching this and have like a campfire where we're toasting marshmallows so we can feel the heat of the flare
You
stack.
can feel the heat.
Right.
I noticed that Ron Smith asked, might help if we had a digital radio scanner. Jack, you brought one out a couple times. I forget, did you have any luck with a radio scanner at all?
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. If you are joining us and you didn't hear it earlier on the stream, so there was that one time where I took my scanner out for the SN1 stacking earlier this year in February, and I was able to get crane audio of them stacking, and that was really special and really lucky because, like you said, Tim, every other time when we were out there for Hopper's pre-burner, for Hopper's static, for Hopper's 20 meter, for the 150 meter. Every single time I had that same piece of equipment there with us, just, poking around the airwaves, trying to see if there is any sort of interesting electromagnetic data, excuse me, floating around. And there wasn't. Every now and then it would chirp a little bit, or, like some ham radios from across the border would come across. And I'm like, man, I kind of wish I'd paid more attention in Spanish class. But yeah, there really wasn't anything SpaceX wise that I've picked up other than that one time with the crane audio. So
yeah, the crane audio
like I
was
said
cool.
earlier, right, and that was perfect because it was right on the cusp of like cool that we could hear it, but not so like proprietary information that I feel bad for listening to it or don't want to post it online sort of thing. So I'm kind of glad that we can't pick up anything for these tests because that would kind of be slightly sketchy perhaps.
I think it would be really cool to do a virtual field trip educational sort of thing to learn about crane operation like that. There's so much that they have to think about and balancing the load and up a bit, hold it, all the different terminology we heard on your audio. It's just super curious because that stuff is happening. We see these videos, we see the cranes moving things around and we're like, oh yeah, it's a crane. But all the things they think about to move that stuff around safely is super interesting to me. So
yeah, surely it's an art. I mean, props to all of the workers who, handle that sort of equipment with ease because I would be sweating bullets.
Yep. United Rentals, you're out there, Bay Barry with the big dog crane. I mean, we know some people.
Yeah.
Have we seen any progress towards less physical, cranes on wheels and things like that into more permanent structured, like in hangar cranes? It's always been curious to me. They're stacking inside the vertical assembly building there, but having like exterior cranes on wheels kind of do some of the stacking and not like a roof mounted, crane doing most of the work.
Yeah, you go into like the NASA VAB or a HIF or something like that, and they have those ceiling mounted rails that have the big cranes on them, right? And Boca Chica
I think
it's hard to hang.
I think the only one we've seen for Boca Chica is that newer, like not so tall, like more horizontal building. It's kind of almost like a HIF type building.
Right.
They've just recently finished building with the big garage door on the front. I think that one has some fixtures in it that might be for an overhead type gantry crane. But yeah, it's curious that they're using the mobile cranes right now. Maybe that owes to they're still sort of figuring out the production machines, so they don't necessarily want to be married to a certain set of cranes, even if it seems obvious to us right now. Just throw a crane in there. Maybe they don't know what crane they want yet.
I feel like if you're paying attention to how Elon says over and over and over that manufacturing is 1,000 times harder than the actual making of a rocket, and it's kind of like, I don't know if you've ever seen like how ants will, they'll take a certain path and they'll all continue to take that path, and eventually that path gets worn in.
Yep.
Or certain campuses across the world, they'll not put any sidewalks down and see where students naturally flow.
Yeah.
And
Fun fact, those are called social trails, and it's actually a problem, but go on.
Well, what I was going to say is maybe that's almost what they're doing here is like, let's see where we actually end up moving hardware around and in what order before we commit to anything. Let's see where the flow is of the pieces of metal, of the, of this and that. And then once it's kind of solidified, okay, now we know we should probably we can put a crane here that'll be able to do this or that.
Yeah, that was like Tim was saying. So, Jack, you said it was a problem, but I've sort of heard of schools that will let the natural trails form before they put the permanent sidewalks and stuff in. So, the students are going to cut the corners or whatever. Even you put the sidewalk wherever, well, it's a sidewalk, not a cop. And so the students cut the corner, and instead of putting the sidewalks in, you let the students walk. They're going to go walk, and then you sort of pave their paths. That's what you're talking about, right, Tim?
That's really good use of it.
Yeah.
The bad part of it is when it happens in wilderness and people go off trail, and it's like it becomes an issue for conservation of land.
Yeah,
but
you get like erosion problems and stuff, switchbacks and
exactly.
stuff. Yeah, I gotcha.
Exactly.
All
Yeah.
right.
Sorry, I'll put away my hippie hat. I'll take that off.
Oh, around here, all the hippies just follow. There's no trails that are official. They're all deer trails that we follow.
I know, back to the sort of fixed crane thing, there was that one lift. It was almost like a service elevator that was inside the VAB. Mary,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Do we still have Mary on? Mary, you still here?
Yep, I'm still here.
So that's the only fixed crane we've seen in a building, and it's not even really a crane. It's like something that engineers can ride up and down, right?
Elevator, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like an elevator. But have you seen any other cranes that are bolted to the side of the building or anything, or is it still like the yellow crane sticking its nose in?
Yep, just several yellow cranes.
Yeah.
That I like to watch.
That you like to watch.
Yeah.
We appreciate the fact that when you like to watch them, you also take your camera and share it with us.
Right.
Absolutely.
Tonight they put the top dome of SN5 on. They stacked it inside the high bay.
Oh yeah. This earlier before you came out here, you were over there seeing that, right?
No. Oh. While I was here.
Oh.
Oh wow.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to clone Mary.
Tell.
It's great when you can iterate this fast, right?
That's amazing.
God.
That's amazing.
So, who wants this? Who wants to do a recap of what we've seen so far? Somebody take it. We're all so polite.
I said Jack.
Jack. Go, Jack.
All right, so if you're just joining us, we are all hanging out. We've got Scott Manley here. We've got Tim Dodd, the Everyday Astronaut. We've got John Doss Galloway. And we've got Michael Baylor. And of course, we've got Mary sitting on the side of the road watching Starship SN4 being fueled with methane for the first time. We're just hanging out. It's kind of just like we don't have times. We don't know when anything is necessarily going to happen. We sort of have a window, a hazard window, and a NOTAM to base things off of, but that's about it. Earlier we saw what we are speculating. We'll get the wild speculation banner up there.
Yep, blinking wild speculation.
Yeah, but we figured it was a spin prime test of the Raptor engine. We saw a little bit of condensation coming off the bottom, and then it appeared to be a big vent right afterwards. So presumably right now we're in sort of a steady state for SN4, and maybe they're looking at the data from the, again, speculated spin prime test. We're like 2 levels of speculation deep now, but hey, this is what happens when you're 2 hours deep into a stream.
Speculationception? That's not right.
Yeah. So,
nobody made them think of the
thanks for joining
speculation.
us. That's where we're at. We're all just hanging out, waiting to see what happens, hoping this thing frosts up a little bit more. I guess that would be the next thing that we're looking for, is some more venting and some more frosting, because frosting is always good.
Gotcha. Thank you, Jack.
The level of venting has definitely decreased since that initial I guess, a lot of venting that occurred after the speculative possible spin prime. We're not seeing that LOX venting, especially on the left-hand side of the vehicle, occurring right now. And again, we're not sure if the test is done for today or if they're going to recycle to do another test of some sort. But it looks to me like the level of frost on the liquid oxygen tank at the bottom seems to be holding steady. So we'll see what happens.
And we still haven't heard those sirens that were in the warning,
that's a good
right?
point.
So we're holding on to hope. And of course, as soon as we say something, we get another big plume coming from the back there. You see that?
It does look like the tank farm has a lot more condensation coming from it. I don't know if Chad or somebody wants to go back and do a little quick check, 5 minutes ago versus now, but it seems like there's a whole bunch more condensation coming from the tank farm. So I'm just going to say that's a good sign.
I just checked. That looks to be correct to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just, hey, y'all, thanks for hanging out with us here. This is cool to just sit and chat about what's going on. I appreciate everybody joining us here so we can sort of experience this together. Not to get too mushy or anything, Jeez.
Bringing us together when we're apart.
There you go. Look at that. So timely.
Hey Elon, if you're watching, let's get some sodium vapor lights on that pad. The blue lighting with the red flare. I mean, come on, it's like a
lasers. You should have lasers.
Laser show on the tank farm with like a laser show.
We want better white balance. Come on, why aren't you thinking about us photographers and videographers? White balance, come on. At your lighting.
Yeah, I was coming at it from a real photography perspective, and you guys went straight to lasers.
I mean, yeah. I want starships with lasers.
Always
on their
go
head.
to lasers.
Jeez.
Starships.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
It is the best way to spend a night watching that. And I somebody said it's the most chill stream ever, like literally. Okay, Dad. Thanks.
Very chill.
Uh-huh.
It is just nuts to think though that, we're in a world where something like this can just be produced so quickly. It makes me feel like, we'll look back at this and be like, remember when they're only cranking out one a month or one every 3 weeks, and eventually they'll have a just full-blown factory churning out one every week and functioning because they'll have figured it out by then. Like,
if it's reusable, they don't need to churn out one a week. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Well, if you want to occupy and actually colonize Mars, you got to make quite the leap there.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it. Like, imagine when cars started rolling out of a factory or aircraft started rolling out of a factory or whatever, and it was rare to see. It was like, oh wow, look at this amazing flying machine or whatever, and then it's become today, it's like, oh yeah, there goes another plane. Geez. I would love that to be the case within my lifetime, where it's a normal thing for, oh yeah, it's the 6 p.m. rocket, it's the 6 p.m. supply rocket to orbit. I've read so much science fiction. I've seen those sorts of ideas so much in my life, and if that ever becomes a reality in my lifetime, I'm getting goosebumps talking about that. The 6 p.m. supply rocket would just make me lose my stuff.
It's really crazy to think that I presume, are all sort of, we got venting. Hey.
Yep, venting.
Yeah.
We're all sort of hoping for a world where this isn't novel. And this is so commonplace that we, can't necessarily do a stream of it on it and have a whole bunch of people watch it, because it's kind of a normal thing and it happens every day. And it's like, would anybody watch a stream of airplanes landing?
I mean,
so
I would.
Yeah.
Well, fair.
I tune into air traffic control for fun.
Yeah, I go stalk airports and sit on mountains and waiting for fighter jets to fly by. So bad example, but you get my meaning. It'll be crazy to imagine a time when this is commonplace and maybe not so novel. It'll be nice, a bit bittersweet perhaps in a way.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, right? Where it becomes like, oh yeah, this happens all the time, and have we lost our sense of wonder with the aircraft, with the automobile? I keep rolling back to those things. Maybe. Would we ever, rockets are a different animal. Would we ever lose our sense of wonder with that? I don't know.
They'll always be loud.
They'll always be loud.
Well, that's one of the biggest concerns I have about them being so routine. Well, frankly, that's one of the biggest concerns I have about them being in Boca Chica with South Padre Island only 5 miles or 8 kilometers away.
Yep.
Is what happens when you have a rocket with 31 Raptor engines. Imagine the Saturn V, when it took off, the closest that the general public was only, I don't know, 10 to 15 miles away. This is substantially closer and will likely be much louder than the Saturn V or the shuttle. And I'm just curious what that'll be like for the local population. It'll be nuts.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the distance wasn't set by the volume; it was set by the how safe we think we can keep you.
And it wasn't 100%, was it? Like, even at 10 or 12 or 15 miles,
yeah.
whatever, you get up to 401, you get over to Titusville from the 39s, right? It wasn't necessarily the 100% safe range, was it?
I don't think there is a 100% safe range.
Yeah.
There's always a certain chain of events that can put a rocket any arbitrary location.
Especially in Kerbal.
Iowa, I still have a non-zero chance of being hit by a rocket right now. You just never.
I wonder, because right now we always do our launches from the coast, right? Here in America, I guess. And you have things going out of the Cape, you have things going out of Wallops. If they're going out of Vandy, they're going north or south, right? I wonder if we'll ever get to the point where we're so confident in our spacecraft that they're launching from Iowa, Tim,
Love that.
New Mexico,
New Mexico.
Virgin Galactic.
Yeah.
If you count Virgin Galactic, they'll be doing they just did a glide test out of New Mexico like 2 days ago or a day ago.
Yeah. That's just that'll be a big sort of sea change, I guess, when we get so confident in these things that we're like, you know something? Yeah, we're gonna launch them from the middle of here, and we're still probably not gonna have them take off from downtown New York or anything, right? There'll be a safe separation from major population centers, but it's just I love
They
to
did
sit
rocket
here.
engine tests in Alameda, which is in the middle of the SF Bay area.
Really?
Right. Yeah, Astra were testing their engines on the Navy base. It's where the MythBusters used to do a bunch of their myths.
That's where the MythBusters did their thing, the big flat area, right?
Right. That was used to be a Navy base where they kept the nuclear vessels.
Yeah, the nuclear vessel's nice.
And then they shot the Matrix Reloaded there as well, the highway scene. They built a set, like 1.5 miles of highway on the runways. And then the MythBusters sort of came along and, yeah, that's the deal.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, I haven't heard anything more about what Astra is doing after their conflagration near the pad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
DARPA thing. I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I've seen satellite photos.
Of like burned grass or something, right? I think that's what those
Yeah.
sat photos showed.
It's like, oh, they had a fire.
Something
Okay.
happened.
up in Kodiak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that's where it was. For some reason, I wasn't paying that close of attention after all the scrubs and all the no flights. I was kind of just left unknowing of what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were gonna try and launch it, I think, but without the payloads, and then something happened. There was a fire, and they haven't done anything since.
Yeah.
It's notable.
And I'm still watching Starship here too, and we every now and then are still getting venting. So there's still things actively happening. It's definitely chilled out a lot. But every now and then we're still getting vents halfway up. We still see condensation vapor coming off the bottom. The tank farm seems to be simmered down. The flare is still going like crazy. That's not the mini flare. That's still a pretty active flare, but I don't know. I continue to hold up hope for the sirens to go off,
There is still frost on the on the lower half
Yeah.
of the distinct line. So there is definitely fuel sitting in there,
Yep.
or liquid oxygen sitting in there.
I mean, they did a test without the sirens so far, we think. So if the sirens happen, that theoretically means it's going to be more exciting than whatever we've seen so far. Who knows what that test may be, but
So is this thing going to end up flying a little wonky with one engine? Will it take off and go up a little bit at like a 2-degree angle and
Yeah, that's what
fly-
Scott was
Yeah,
talking
it'll
about
do
that
a power
earlier.
slide off the pad, right?
Yeah.
Now, basically, yeah, if they want to avoid any unnecessary translation, it'll have to sit at a very slight angle. and either they have to bring it down to land at an angle, or they have to bring it in slightly sideways and then use its natural offset to brake it.
Weren't the legs? Were these the legs that were supposed to be adjustable? Question mark.
I don't think they're adjustable in any major way.
Huh.
It was
But-
someday they'll be self-leveling. or
Right,
Self-level.
self-leveling.
the
But we don't
future
think those are
self-leveling.
on this, or do we?
Correct.
Okay.
No,
That's
these are
correct.
just things that flop out.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Wishful thinking.
There are also no apparent like cold gas thrusters on this vehicle for roll control like we saw with Starhopper. So that's another question mark. I don't know if Scott has any ideas about how they're going to do roll control without that, but
Well, I think they just haven't applied those yet, is my
Yeah,
opinion.
I would.
They're going to bring those out.
Yeah, but I'm kind of wondering because that's going to take some time, and meanwhile, SN5 is in the assembly building getting stacked today, so it kind of seems like SN5 might be ready before
Before this is
SN4
ready
is
to
really
fly.
ready to fly. So I'm going to guess this is the prediction. I think that SN5 will be the first to fly. I'm not positive. And that's only because SN5 will be ready in time, not because SN4 will have something go wrong.
Yeah. It's so hot on the heels, right?
Yeah.
Well, I still think it's smart to, at this stage where they're still relatively new with the pressurization of these tanks, of these welds, I think it's smart to leave hardware off of it until you at least verify the tanks and the pressurization.
Right.
So even if serial number 5 is completely ready to go and rolling out to the pad,
Yeah.
it'd be unwise of them to stick it full of expensive extra additional hardware.
Right. Like if we had the
So-
thrusters on this and then there was some sort of anomaly with this, then all of a sudden you're out thrusters. But if you keep them in reserve until you pass this gate, then you can apply them or whatever, not
I mean, the
risking.
counter argument I would say is that
Sure.
if SN4 is thought to be a lot less reliable than SN5, you don't want to destroy your launch pad and all the associated ground support infrastructure. So it is
Right,
kind
right.
of a balance. But
Well,
I think
it's
Tim
not-
does make a fair point.
SN4 is
It's also
venting
not
at your
just the
ideas.
hardware, but it takes a very long time for them to actually fit all the supporting equipment for those cold gas thrusters, because they have to add the plumbing, the tanks, and the thrusters themselves. So it's not a trivial step up.
Right.
So just saving the time, I guess, makes sense.
I wonder, will we see like the COPVs we think, right, are on the exterior here? I wonder if we could see thrusters added with exterior easy to apply plumbing as opposed to plumbing it. You know what I mean? I wonder if that would be a way to save some time.
I bet. Yeah, I bet it would. Anything that they do in that respect, my gut would say would look like what Starhopper had, which you could just see like
Yeah.
a thruster pack stuck
Yeah.
on the side.
Like one of those
So,
anatomical,
I mean-
Right, but those
Yeah.
thruster packs were still fed by gas lines from the top.
From the top.
You know, you still had to fit in all that. But yeah, wouldn't it be nice if the stainless steel was magnetic and then you just clamp these onto the side? Like,
You just turn it thunk and it just attaches to it, then you can't pull it back off because it's not quite right.
yeah.
Honestly, I sort of wish we were in a simulation, and that simulation was Kerbal, and it was Elon playing, and he could just be like, "Go back to Vab," and just add, click, 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 click. Okay, now it's done, and now it's gonna work right. Oh, it didn't work just right. Go back to Vab, click, click. Rather than having to wait, through this development cycle, because as rapid
this
as it
is-
is,
Right, this
rapid,
is that
but-
fast, but
Yeah.
compared to the SLS, right? I mean, it's all relative.
It's all relative,
oh,
yeah.
of course.
This
I'm
is
spoiled.
probably
We're all
as close
spoiled by
to
this.
Kerbal style building as we've seen, right?
Move fast and break things.
Well, as far as the thrusters and hardware go, don't forget, there is a little bit of a lip at the very top, on top of the dome.
Right.
On the very, very top, because there's a battery pack up there of some kind, likely a Tesla battery pack sitting up there already from that drone shot that Elon shared a week or so ago.
Yep.
And, it's hard to forget, or it's easy to forget, there's actually a lot of external COPVs on this thing, which I don't know how many it tanks, because they're not doing autogenous pressurization, of course, which means that they're not using the tap offs of the engines to continually feed the tanks for back pressure. That's why there are all these additional COPVs, most likely. But it does make you wonder if some of those are already plumbed and ready to go to be able to just stick on the thrusters in a quick hurry.
Yeah. I think Mary will be having an eye out, and as soon as there are thrusters like spotted in a crate somewhere, we'll have pictures of them.
Yeah. can't make it past Mary.
Yeah, they can't make it past Mary. I'm gonna check on Mary. Are those mosquitoes? How are you doing from a mosquito perspective out there?
Oh, there's no mosquitoes.
Okay, good. I every now and then I saw something sort of buzzing in front of the camera lens, and having been down there myself, I'm like, I hope there's not mosquitoes out there. But that's
There's none in my vehicle.
gotcha. All right. Again, if you're just joining us, you've been here this whole time. The view you're watching is live from Boca Chica, Texas, and that is Starship SN4. We've seen a lot of activity here tonight. We've seen definite frosting. We've seen venting of all sorts. The flare stack's been going. We think we saw what might have been a spin prime test with a little bit of a bump of LOX out the bottom, perhaps. But we are standing, we maintain hope because SpaceX put out this warning to the residents saying that at some point there would be a potential for an event that they need to be aware of, and that would be preceded by a police siren by 10 minutes. We have not heard a police siren yet, so we're sitting here, we're watching the flare, we're watching the venting and all that sort of stuff happening, wondering if we're going to get some more to the test out of Boca Chica today. So thanks everybody for just chilling out with us, honestly. All right, that was my spiel. I'm done. Y'all can talk again.
No, it's good. I like that it's just people hanging out, watching, the most advanced prototype of a future rocket that's going to send us off to Mars just casually on a Sunday night.
No big deal.
It's pretty nifty.
Casually off to Mars.
I don't know if I would say the most advanced prototype, but sure, okay.
What
I
do
mean,
you
the
think?
engines are ambitious. Those are cool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I would necessarily call Starship itself advanced at this point.
Okay, so you mean like Starship just still has a lot of work to go, or you mean?
Yeah, I mean, the fabrication processes are not exactly 21st century.
Right. What do you
Yeah,
think?
I'm not dissing Starship. I mean, they're still at the point of moving fast and breaking things.
Yep.
And this is the most advanced Starship, but I think that there's a lot of cool things they do with other rockets, I guess, in terms of fabrication. Ooh, nice big flare
Whoa.
there.
Whoa.
That was proper Burning Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of to your point, Scott. I do kind of wish you watch something like Destin's tour of the ULA factory, and you see like the crazy robot welding the dome for Centaur, and it would be like, to me, it's like, let's just get some robots in there, but
And they'll do
don't
that.
know anything. But
Once
when
they
know
know
what they're
how to
building,
do it.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah, you got it.
Oh, Tim, you got a little bit of some information from Elon here, talking about the speculation from this Twitter thread that I'm reading. Somebody asked, how accurate is the speculation? I guess they're talking about our speculation here about thrusters and stuff. And Elon replied, mostly accurate. Liquid CH4 temp got too high this time. Offloading propellant will retry later today. So not about the thrusters, but about our speculation is what's happened with the test here, y'all.
So it sounds like there probably was not a spin prime test, but they just offloaded it quickly once the liquid methane got, too high of temperature.
Yeah, I'm actually going to bring that up just really quickly here. I'm happy that we're mostly accurate. Like if I had to look for something, that's a win in my book. But let me just bring this up really quickly. There's that tweet.
Yeah, to be clear, none of us are trying to be inaccurate, and we're working with the information that we have on hand.
Yeah.
So if we say something that is not completely accurate, bear with us as we are watching along with you, trying to figure out what's going on as well.
Yep. And I just put that up for a couple seconds.
I was getting close to telling Doss to go back.
Oh, don't worry. I'm all about not switching away from the live feed.
Yeah, no, I definitely disclaimer that none of us know. But we've been watching this stuff enough, and especially with, again, Mary,
look at that flare.
documenting absolutely everything under the sun. It gives us a pretty good sense of insight on and having watched the Starhopper campaign, you start to learn the tricks, a little bit of what's kind of going on, and this leads to that leads to that, and that leads to that, and yeah, it's still pretty fun to just sit back and try to guess what's going on.
Nice.
Yeah, Mary is like the Starship whisperer. She's just able to see the layout of the site and think, oh, they're about to flip a dome, or oh, they're about to wheel something out. It's uncanny, the extent you spend every day out there documenting it. It makes sense that she has such a handle on things. Thank you again, Mary, for everything.
Yeah.
I gotta
Thank
say,
you.
I appreciate the fact that every time I switch away from the live feed, chat goes crazy telling me to switch it back. I appreciate y'all. Yes.
It's also really sweet how people in chat will bring up battery changes, or people will even do like a super chat for a battery change.
Remind us to
Tim and
check the battery.
Exactly, Tim. When you and I were on Nomad's roof, for Starhopper, people would say, don't forget to drink water, because one of us would mention like 3 hours previous in the stream that we needed to stay hydrated because it was hot out. Like, people care, and that really means a lot, because we're all in this together. So thanks, everybody.
I like to tell chat that there are remote production crew, right? So if the audio's not quite right, or something needs to be fixed, or they need a clock on the screen, like the real-time feedback we get from chat helps us improve what we're sharing, That's always been the superpower of doing the live stream thing, is just listening to feedback. And, yesterday we didn't have a clock with local time. Chat said they wanted a clock with local time. Guess what? Look in the corner of the screen. So there are remote production crew, keeping it real.
Yeah, it's impressive stuff, though. You guys are kicking butt.
Yep.
What's everybody's favorite part of the frame? It's hard not to like the SN4 portion of the frame, but yes. I really like that little sliver of yellow condensation from whatever light that is over there. That's my current favorite portion of the frame, even though I like fire and I like SN4.
It spooks me a little bit. It just looks like it's such a noxious gas of some kind, like some kind of like chemical, but it's just the lighting. It's just so.
Yeah, that's the color that poisonous gas is in video games.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally is. And then I kind of like seeing Starhopper just chilling very, very lightly behind the yellow bit. You can kind of see its COPVs and a little bit of its leg there. It's pretty fun.
Starhopper reminds me of the guy's house from Up, where the city has been built up around it, and he's got the little quaint house in the middle of everything. And as this facility gets bigger and bigger, I wonder if Starhopper is going to continue hanging out there, and there's going to be bigger tanks and bigger rockets, and it's just sort of hanging in. One day, Elon needs to put a bunch of balloons on top of Starhopper, like it's going to be floated out of there.
I really hope that some of the hardware, I know it's a pain in the butt to consider moving 9-meter wide, 30-foot wide pieces of hardware around the country, but as stuff, becomes antiquated or no longer necessary, I would love for some of this to be seen at, different places. Obviously Hawthorne has some legitimate hardware with B-1019, the first landed Falcon 9, but imagine seeing Starhopper at Kennedy Space Center, or
it definitely belongs in a museum. The Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, belongs in a museum.
Yeah, or some of these serial numbers that aren't becoming Cybertrucks, having like serial number 4, assuming it goes well. I would love seeing that in a Smithsonian.
Man, I've got my Cybertruck reservation. I doubt I would ever be able to afford a Starship version, but I so hope that they do it, just so that they do it, even if it's just a one-off for you. That would be such a cool thing. So that's what a nifty thing. But man, Cybertruck, I want it.
Well, frankly, there's been a good amount of stainless steel to be able to use for some special edition trucks. Even if it doesn't need to be the whole truck, even if the dashboard was just reused, repurposed.
Yeah, I'll take a key fob. I'll just take a Starship key fob to go with my, I really don't care. Anything. That would just be a really neat thing to have.
What are keys?
What are keys?
Oh, right. I forgot that Teslas are super. Oh, man, how cool.
Then Neuralink. You want a stainless steel Cybertruck Neuralink key for your.
There we go.
For your
Tim, some of us still have to drive Camrys, okay? Come on. Oh, in chat, you may have seen me do the test there. Y'all are absolutely correct. This is a better solution if I need to show something. I can toss it up picture in picture so we always have the live feed on the screen. And then also remember, we are recording this locally from the source camera as well. So if anything happened when the screen had graphics or something on it, that still gets recorded locally too. So I just tossed up a picture in picture if we need to do like a replay of something or whatever. Good idea.
And so we are approaching 2 a.m. Central Time, which is local time in Boca Chica right now.
Yep.
The hazard warning that was sent to residents mentioned the test lasting up until 4 a.m. Again, we don't know if they are able to extend that slightly if necessary. The one definitive hard cutoff today is that the NOAA end at 6 a.m. So the launch vehicle has to be completely detanked in a safe configuration at 6 a.m. because the airspace closures will end at that point.
Right.
The road closures have more flexibility with. They can keep the road closed longer if they had to, but that airspace closure cannot be extended very easily.
So why don't we try to pick this apart really quickly? When Elon said mostly accurate, et cetera, we will retry later today. Do we think later in the window, or does the window reopen later today, the next window?
So
Yeah.
which is technically the next day.
Yeah, see?
But, you know, Elon doesn't sleep, so his ideas of days and nights are sort of questionable.
Well, also, if he's out of Boca Chica, today would technically be, for the next 22 hours and 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that means tonight, as in like until that 4 a.m., closure time or 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's get the rampant speculation banner up again. But to me, later today it would imply not tonight. But
Yeah, it's like later tonight would be this window, but later today,
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's my gut, but I don't want to be the pessimist over here, so I'll shut my mouth.
I mean, that's why I brought it up. I'm like,
Elon might also think on California time.
What time is it California time right now?
It's just about to become midnight here, so
that's a really good point.
Gotcha.
That's a really good point.
So later today could actually mean tomorrow. There.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, even if you're in California, at this point you would say tonight. You wouldn't say later today. Like anything going forward through the night,
Yeah.
We're weird. We do whatever.
Tonight.
You wouldn't say, "Hey, I'm gonna get a drink later today." If you're getting a drink in an hour.
Yeah, in an hour or something. Especially if it's like midnight or 11 p.m., you wouldn't say later today. So, anyways, I imagine that Elon gets enough people picking apart what he says on Twitter. This is relevant to the rocket test, though. All right, that's why I'm interested in this.
It's all relevant.
Yeah.
Linguistics with NASASpaceflight.com.
Oh gosh. But we're still good on let me actually do a refresh on our signals here and just check. The solo is still ticking along at full bit rate. It looks like all the modems are performing well.
We thank Barry a lot, but I don't think I've ever taken the time, Dos, to say thank you for getting all the logistics set up, getting all the streams set up, all of the back end and all of that happens that you handle. And Michael, you too, with the overlays and the coding and all of that. Thank you so much. Because holy cow, it's a dream team over here, and it would not be possible without you guys. Thank you so much. This is so cool.
Well, I mean, I gotta be honest, Jack. All of this is really just a test to make sure everything works for my Bluebird camera.
You don't want to miss the Bluebirds.
You don't want to miss the Bluebirds. Have I told you about my little cute Bluebirds? Look, now that we can do picture in picture, I have a.
Oh God, what have we done?
You think I'm kidding?
We rock.
No, look, you can hear them actually chirping in the background of the stream. You asked for it.
Are you keeping them up? These
Scott,
baby Bluebirds?
Look, it's the live. It's not live right now. That's a clip from earlier.
Yeah.
But I got these cute little babies in my backyard. Look how cute they are.
Give me food.
We do
Give
all
me
these
food.
space. This is the epitome of spaceflight coverage here. I guess aerospace coverage are the baby Bluebirds in my backyard. So
Yeah,
Yeah, we got
did.
flyers and we got rockets. We got
yeah,
both.
see,
And we did hit 2.2K likes, so that means that we did hit the threshold needed for us to show the Bluebirds.
there you go. Bluebird's on screen. I got the picture-in-picture set up and everything.
I also want to express some thanks to DOS, as DOS has also helped me immensely with live stream support at any random moment in my life. And also, DOS is the reason that I started doing any kind of thing off of Instagram, really, or one of the key people that was like, dude, why don't you start doing something on Twitch? Was the original thing.
Wow.
Help streaming and everything. That was 3.5 years ago. So
Long ago and far away, dude.
crazy.
I remember.
And a really smart guy, Trevor Molman, said to me recently or once, rising tide raises all ships. So it's really cool that we all help each other out, and that's how it should be. We're all a team here.
Yeah, I mean, Tim, I remember the first time I met you, we were over on an Atlas pad, and you were doing a photo shoot, right, with your setup and your spacesuit and everything, and we were doing like some video commentary. We had no clue what we were doing at that time, no live stream or anything, but that was the first time we met. Was literally on a launch pad.
Yes. Yeah, literally on a launch pad. Oh, that is so weird. That seems like so long ago.
Yep.
Is that 2015?
It would have been 15, 16, something like that. Yeah.
It was 6, I think. It was that Atlas with the Cygnus on top of it.
Yep.
Right. Now, me and Tim have failed to meet. We've had several like rendezvous planned, and then they've fallen apart. And like most recently, due to
Oh.
worldwide pandemic. So
Oh yeah. So we'll get that resolved at some point.
I've been in San Francisco, I think, like 2 or 3 times, and it's like once, and then you're like, oh, I'm in Europe right now. Like,
yeah, right. It's like, sorry, I had to be in Europe for Asteroid Day, right?
yeah, it's literally been stuff like that. Or like you were out at the Cape or at SpaceX, and I'd miss you by like a day or something. And not the Cape,
Right.
I think SpaceX one time, and I missed
Vandenberg and things like that.
crazy. Oh, I have my phone.
Yep. I'm squinting down to 2010 again to inspect the pixels for frost and motion. But it looks like we really... I don't think... It's been a while since we've seen any real venting coming from the top.
There
The
was
bottom
a
is still
vent from the
frosty.
top about a minute ago.
Oh, a minute ago? Okay.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and we've still got condensation coming from the bottom, so the Raptor and all of that is still chilled. I think
Right.
maybe that might be a good maybe point to, keep our eyes on. If that bottom area stops being so foggy or condensation-y, that might be an indicator one way or another.
Yep.
I'm curious. I don't know if I missed it earlier, but I want to hear everyone's thoughts on the reason why the lunar Starship would be not stainless steel, or at least maybe stainless steel but painted. Is there any speculation?
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to figure that out. I mean, obviously the thermal environment
Yeah.
of the surface of the moon is very, very different, and they might want to make sure that it doesn't, that I don't know, that it's able to. I really don't know. Like,
I don't know either.
but I will say that they did paint those nozzles red as if they were just firing, and that doesn't really make sense because they're regeneratively cooled. One of them's regeneratively cooled, so it's hard to tell how much license has been taken with that image.
Can I toss a guess out?
Yeah.
I think by making it the different color, making it obviously white, it was obvious that it was something for HLS. It wasn't just a recycled Starship. It was like a special thing for that. And that was a big visual cue that this was something for HLS, And so is it going to end up painted white or not? I don't know, but it definitely made it visually Starship Plus or Moonship
That's
or whatever.
smart. That's a very
That
smart
makes sense.
observation. Yeah.
But that is
Because we're still waiting for the SLS Strakes, right?
Oh,
The paint
jeez.
job on that, right?
I mean, and now this is well beyond. This is deep speculation. But I wonder if by that point, if Starship is figured out enough, that they have it all figured out. I know that switching material would just be a moronic thing to do when you master, a production line and stainless steel, all that stuff. But the mass fraction, if you're not having to deal with reentry heating, I wonder if more there's traditional aluminum like they've been using aluminum alloys like on a Falcon 9 would offer them a slightly better mass fraction for a vehicle that's strictly going to be, only in the vacuum of space, not worrying about re-entry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
If they were worried about that, then they wouldn't have all 6 engines still attached to it.
Yeah,
Because that is adding up more than any amount of material change.
we were talking yesterday about the phase of flight where Super Heavy would disconnect, and did it still need the sea level engines to get that last push into orbit?
Right.
So maybe that's why they were included, even though they wouldn't really be used on the moon, right?
No, well, the image suggests they would be used possibly to provide some sort of control during braking.
Was that another thing? Like the sea level engines had gimbals and the vacuums didn't, or was that
Right, and I think during descent you need to have reasonable control authority.
Yeah.
And then it just brings you to a stop just above the surface, and then those high-level engines kick in and put you softly on the surface.
Yeah.
well, and there's a chance too that the vacuum engines might be not deep throttleable too,
Right.
and they're not suited for or
Right. I mean, they've already said that it's hard to get down to 50% throttle in the Raptors.
Yeah.
And it's
I know that's why I had that question once where I asked about I was asking Elon on Twitter about even if at 50%, even if they land fully fueled with 3 Raptors running, you're still over a 1 thrust to weight ratio on the moon, fully fueled, which obviously it won't land
right.
full of fuel, and half fuel, it was like 2.7 to 1 thrust to weight ratio or so. You're getting to the point where you're well beyond being able to hover. So if you're coming up on a boulder field or something that's not great, you're stuck pretty much with what you got. So that's where I was wondering, what is the best option,
Yeah. You would definitely end up pulling a Kerbal where you get close to landing and then you panic and you fly away because you can't throttle deep enough, right? So
Been there, done that.
Chat, raise your hand if you've done that in Kerbal, where you're trying to land and then you just panic at the last second and you end up back in orbit.
You hit
Man, I do that every time, every freaking time. Or I do it and then I'm able to arrest my sudden ascent just enough, but I still have too much horizontal velocity.
Oh.
And of course, I'm not great at building ships, so I can't really flip it around super quick, and then I end up on my belly if I even do land soft. And I didn't have a quick save.
Yeah. You gotta get the quick saves. F5's for safety, Jack. Come on.
I'm going to say doing it without the quick saves is so much more exciting.
Oh, geez, it is. Yeah, it is.
I didn't know that the quick saves were a thing for the first year and a half of playing.
Oh, no.
So I got really good at just really concentrating.
Really concentrating.
I didn't know.
When I started, they didn't have the quick saves, I'll say that. And they didn't even have time acceleration.
Back in my day, we had to play Kerbal
All
in
right,
real time.
breaking news.
news.
We have
Breaking news.
Elon just tweeted in response to Chris B, NASA Spaceflight. He asked, Chris B says, can I ask if that means not during the current window in regards to static tonight? And Elon said, it seems unlikely right now.
Okay,
that's
great. I can get some sleep.
Oh, let me find that tweet real quick. And that was in response somewhere?
Yeah, it's in response to Chris B. It's in that same chain. It's right after he said mostly accurate.
Yeah, I'm on it. I got it. Okay, cool. I'll cue that up real
Thanks
quick.
so much for replying there, Elon. If you're listening, we appreciate
That's
it.
awesome.
Oh my gosh, here y'all. So this is the breaking news on Twitter. Chris B, NASA Spaceflight said, "Can I ask if that means not during this current window?" Right? And Elon said it seems unlikely right now. So additional testing during this window seems unlikely, according to Elon. Oh, what's that mean for Scott? You said that means that you can get some sleep.
Yes. Well, I can get to work with all my other stuff. Visit my family,
Yeah, visit your family. Nice.
They're probably playing Beat Saber downstairs.
Oh no.
Well, can I pose one question before we lose Scott? And I just want to know. I saw something really interesting. Someone asked, well, why don't they land if they are going to use auxiliary thrusters on Starship? Why don't they land it horizontally, hot dog style?
That would be brilliant, but I think obviously the hardest part is getting the thing back into space. But yeah, I think that would be very cool.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
I think honestly, Starship, it seems to make so much more sense to make it like the core of a base or something, right? Use it to deliver stuff to land it, and then reflying doesn't need to happen that much. It would, yeah. I imagine they've thought about that and decided not to do it because it's extra development stuff. They're already kind of pushing a very ambitious schedule, right? And I said in my video, by the way, that NASA's investment in this, what it really does for them is buy like 10, 11 months where they can sit and watch how SpaceX performs and sees if they hit their own internal deadlines before deciding whether to commit to SpaceX, Starship for the full HLS. And they're going to have to pick two of these three, so it's still a viable option, I think, is what I'm thinking.
I would love to see it land on its belly. I mean,
it would be cool. Have you seen the Maston one, which is basically a centaur that lands on its side?
Yep.
Yeah, I think, seeing that crazy maneuver that they have the simulation video of where Starship comes in and it, does that quick flip and burns retrograde and then lands vertically, like that's fine and dandy for cargo and all, but that's going to be a heck of a thing to have people on. So yeah, I would just like to see it land on its belly. How cool would that be? It just, as a person who likes planes, it just seems right.
But wait a second, that makes no sense because okay, I guess what is there? Yeah, but if you're doing it on the moon, right? The G-force will be along the axis of the acceleration, which would be the same. So, yeah.
Well, they can always do an almost opposite of a landing on Earth, where it goes tail down the whole way, and then the very last second, burn off all the horizontal velocity, and then at the last second just touch down on its belly, as opposed to belly flopping through the atmosphere and the last second flopping down to its tail. That'd actually be kind of cool.
I'm a huge fan of the belly landers because it's so much easier to get cargo out, right? If you don't have like a skyscraper that you've installed on the Sea of Tranquility or whatever, and you don't have to have the cranes and stuff lowering cargo or rovers or whatever you're carrying, when you land on your belly, you just sort of roll it out the nose and you're already at ground level. I would love to see Starship come to a stop however many meters above the surface of the moon and then lean over sideways, like do the flop and then land down. I've done that in Kerbal
very
before.
Capable landing legs that can do that after it lands vertically.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Right?
That'd be really cool.
Have a lift kit.
A lift kit.
Just tip it over with those thrusters, Guys, we're giving Elon some really bad ideas right now. Elon, stop listening.
Yeah.
But it'd be so cool. We could film it in 8K. Come on, Tim. Jeez.
Okay, I'll dare you to do a flip with Starship. Do a flip.
I think a big problem there might be the moment of inertia along the axis that it would have to rotate, because you've got Starship. It's not short. It's a lot of mass to get rotating even through 90 degrees. And maybe you could do it, but that's a big thing to do a 90-degree belly flop after you use the mains to come to like a hover stop, right?
But the other issue might just be structurally. This is a vehicle designed to have its loads going through the vertical, the vertical axis, and landing it on its belly might just make it, totally lose its shape. But there's always things you can do to address that. But then you're adding mass and you're adding complexity. Engineering is always a trade-off. There's never just a do this or, why don't they just do this? Well, there's normally something else that.
You remember Kistler, the people that were kind of the hot contenders for the commercial resupply missions? They were going to do belly landing in their first stage with parachutes and airbags, but they obviously ran out of money, never matched the investment, and then some company called SpaceX came along and took their place.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't the Energia's boosters originally going to? I know they had the flyback ones, but wasn't there also a plan for side-mounted belly landing boosters too?
Yeah, I think there was.
You have to do that if you're landing them on land. Obviously, you can't land them vertically and hope that they'll remain standing.
Wow, SpaceX.
The other thing about going from a vertical thing to a horizontal thing, again, I'm the Kerbal guy. We do this. Wait, Scott Manley's on the stream. I can't say I'm the Kerbal guy on this stream. Anyways.
You're a Kerbal guy.
I'm a Kerbal guy. I'm a Kerbal guy.
And Kerbal Twitch guy.
Yeah, geez, the Twitch guy. But if you're transitioning like that, you have to deal with weight and balance. So if you're always sort of on your long axis, your weight and balance isn't going to change. But if you flip over, the amount of fuel you have suddenly becomes important for exactly how that thing lands on its belly.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
But yeah,
So,
ultimately, this
yeah.
is about making sure that they can deliver on the time scale needed.
Right.
So they're trying to do the least amount of variances from what the existing Starship plan is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they already have all of the information from Falcon 9 vertical landings, propulsive landings. It just doesn't make sense to deviate from that. It's just fun to imagine wild things at late at night as we watch the Starship paint dry.
But they do have practice with hovering and maneuvering using thrust differential of the Super Dracos on Dragon 2 when they were talking about landing it, using the Super Draco thrusters for a little bit. And that's definitely a different control mode than a gimbal on a Falcon 9 rocket. It's a very different control mode, and they had a lot of experience. They made that look easy. They made that look like flying.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. But those are pressure fed. They don't have turbo pumps, so they respond much faster.
Well, think about the slosh in the fuel tanks while you do that maneuver too. If you're coming down on your tail and then you need to go 90 degrees to your belly, like what is that fuel going to do in a micro G environment?
Yeah, you'd have
to. Well, it's not micro G. It's because they're landing on the moon. It's 1/6 G.
So
torrent, a tsunami of fuel flowing around and breaking things.
Gotcha. Yeah, there's clearly a lot of different engineering challenges, as always.
These are all solvable challenges, right? It's just they add time and uncertainty.
Gotcha.
You know what I would like to see for those thrusters, though, instead of pressure fed or anything like that, having turbo pumps would be electric pumps. Hello, let's get a Rocket Lab shout out, some kind of Rutherford style.
Yeah, or Astra.
Or Astra, yep.
Who actually have patents on steering rockets using electric pumped, engines.
Are they doing thrust differential to
No, they got patents on it, but Astra's their rockets using traditional gimbaling.
Okay, I think that would be really, really cool if they did. That might be a decent solution for a quick spin up and reliable ignition and things like that, and quick, that quick reaction that you need for some of those. That'd be kind of cool.
Again, we've moved into the point of the evening where the ideas are sort of getting out there. I love hanging out like this, but I think are we calling it? Like, are we saying Elon's tweet saying that most likely not? It seems unlikely right now. Is exactly what he said.
Yeah.
Is that our cue to start to spool down the stream here, or? Yeah. I think it may be. Control
choice
room.
To go away.
Yeah.
And then hopefully I won't be making a video in my dressing gown tomorrow.
Your dressing gown. I think you have to make videos only in the dressing gown now.
It looks like a smoking jacket as well. Everyone's like making Hugh Hefner jokes.
I think of like one of the things from Peter Pan that the kids were wearing when they're sleeping. That's not a dressing gown?
People would call it a robe.
A robe. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm talking about the control room here. Mary, what is your plan? You're out there. You've got the camera going. What's your plan? Are you staying till the end of the window, or are you getting sleepy? Well, that might answer my question. I'm not sure if we still have Mary. Let me see if we've still got Mary here.
I'm gonna say goodnight.
Yeah.
Farewell, and of course, fly safe.
Good night, Scott. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Just on a whim, sent a link to join into the call and popped over and spent, I don't even know how many hours with us, but we appreciate you, Scott.
Fly safe.
All right. Later on. Yeah, folks, I always like to say I like to surround myself with people smarter than me, right? And it's not hard to do with the cast we've got here. And sometimes I don't know the answer to something, and it's really important for me to say, hey, I don't know, but maybe Scott might, maybe Tim might, maybe something else might. That's the big thing for me.
If Scott doesn't know, we're in trouble.
If Scott doesn't know, we're in trouble.
So somebody in this Zoom call right now just got a reply from Elon, and it was not me.
Oh, yeah? Well, I mean, do you want me to go self-source it? I'm busy.
I'm pulling it up for you, though.
All right, thanks. So we're getting more replies. So
It's not directly about tonight, but
Yeah, here we go. All right, hey.
it was about the current topic.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Let's see. I got another one real quick. I'll queue up. And I'm not taking screenshots or anything. I'm just tossing it over. So this one was for you, Tim. Did you see this one come through?
Yeah, I'm seeing that now. Yeah.
Yeah? Let's see if I can side screen it real quick. There we go. So there was the other reply talking about, what were you talking about there, Tim?
This was in regards to, the frustration that obviously SLS costs more than an arm and a leg. And, I was kind of saying it's frustrating that SLS and Orion, really all it's doing is getting crew to the moon. And then it still requires a whole nother rocket, a whole nother system to get a crew down to the surface of the moon.
Yep.
But I said, I have to give credit where credit's due, with NASA actually choosing fixed price contracting, so therefore not cost plus contracting, and that they were actually being ambitious and actually invested in Starship. I thought that was a huge step for NASA. NASA's so risk averse and so conservative that I thought that was a huge step.
Sure.
So, yeah.
That was really cool to see. I think a lot of people that for them that came out of left field, and they knew that SpaceX had bid Starship, or had as part of that process, and it was so great to see it selected, because that's kind of what we need. It's cool to have an option that's sort of traditional, standard approach, but we need transformative change, and we need it fast in order to start getting people on the moon and on Mars permanently.
Yeah. That's I definitely hear you in terms of getting the transformative change going. I would love to see, like I said earlier, the more frequent space flights, it becoming more of a commonplace thing. It goes to the same thing where, there's this big discussion about Starlink. And Starlink is, messing up the night sky or whatever. And you have some people that have this viewpoint and some people that have this other viewpoint. And I always come at it from the angle of the inspiration, right? And I've said numerous times in the past, before Starlink was even a thing, I hope in my lifetime I can look up and see lights on the moon, right? Mm-hmm. Like, imagine that. Imagine the dark side, the shadowed part of the moon, and there's lights up there, and it's a colony. It's something that we put there. Oh my gosh, we've ruined the moon. It looks terrible now. But how inspirational would that be? And I still don't know where I fall.
I guarantee you'll hear that. You will hear that from people too, and that's a debate we'll have to have as a society, as to how we value that. And to a certain extent, it's like there was a time when airplanes weren't overhead, commercial airliners weren't overhead at all times.
Yep.
Now, I'll go out in the desert, I'll drive 5, 6, 8 hours, I'll be out in the middle of the desert, 100 miles, no one around in any direction. And, you look up, you see an airliner, oh, turns out there are people. There's 300 people 20 miles above me in an airliner. And some people today are kind of approaching Starlink, I think, with a mindset that doesn't take that into account, that progress happens and change happens. And there was a time when there was nothing overhead above our heads. And now we already have satellites. And we're going to have more satellites now. And maybe soon the moon will have light like that. I didn't even consider that. It's kind of blowing my mind.
That totally blows my mind. And I've heard you say that before, Dawson. It's one of those things I'm just like, oh, that will be insane. But at the same time, the people that complain about that stuff, it's like, okay, do you live in a city? Do you live where humans have already changed the landscape of where you are?
Yeah.
If you're like an indigenous person, you literally live off the land fully, then I think it's really hypocritical to say that, like, no, you can't ruin that. It's like, it's not ruining it. It's us expanding into our our world, our universe. That's what we do as humans, is we explore, we expand. For better or worse, we might be the virus itself, but at the same time, like, at least we're we're changing stuff, and I think it's really cool. I don't know. I think it's just in our nature to explore, though.
It really is.
And there's the other
you.
aspect of Starlink too that is really, really important, and I think a lot of the critics of Starlink, and that's fair to criticize things. I'm not saying it's not, but a lot of the critics of Starlink seem to overlook the fact that the really noble thing about it, in my opinion, is that it's bringing connectivity to underserved communities. And as many times as we've subsidized our telecom companies in this country to actually lay the cable out to every individual house and get connectivity out to each person and high-speed internet out to each home, it's just not there. and getting getting underserved communities internet. I mean, I personally think that the internet's sort of like a basic inalienable right. Everybody should have access to it. So getting more places that don't have reliable connectivity, or maybe even any connectivity to the internet connectivity, that's very, very valuable and really important to me.
Well, it's the same thing to me as, when you go back and you look at the history, only recent history of Africa, they couldn't afford to run landlines to everyone. So almost, the adoption rate of a regular telephone was very, very, very low in Africa.
Right.
And all of a sudden, cell phones come out and you can plop one tower down that serves thousands and thousands of people. And the cell phone adoption rate went through the roof. They leapfrogged. And it'll be the same thing with internet. Like, yes, it's very difficult to have. Even in Seattle, one of my best friends lives in Seattle. He has terrible internet. He has the worst internet of anyone because he's like jurisdictionally drawn out to have this one terrible provider. And just think about what will happen when anyone, anywhere can have way more competitive internet, and it'll be unfiltered. It'll be amazing.
Yeah. I can't wait for Starlink to bring internet connectivity to underserved live streams. That's just me, Tim. I saw your tweets too, but I don't mean to be too selfish there, but I would love to have another type of connection that we can rely on out in the field when we try to share this sort of stuff.
Dude, the Cape, Boca Chica, Vandenberg, 3 pits of cell phone connectivity right there. Like, give us that data.
Yeah.
Yeah, the number of times I've just sworn and wished that I had a Starlink antenna on the top of my Land Rover just so that I could get a little scrap of service to get a picture of a rocket posted that I just took, Can't wait. I really, really can't wait.
So,
Yep.
y'all, we're sort of spooling things down here. Again, to recap for people that have been hanging with us or maybe have just joined in, we did see a tweet from Elon saying that further spectacle, I guess we could say, is unlikely tonight. Given, I think it was the methane got a little bit too warm, if I read that correctly, right? And so I believe, and I'm waiting for someone to tell me over here. It's probably about time for us to start spooling this down. Am I reading that correctly there? Michael Baylor, are you with us still?
Yes, I am. We're also running low on this current camera battery, so we could swap that, but it might be a good natural point to wrap things up.
Yeah. If we're due for another swap or something, it's probably time to shut it down, I guess.
And we're not seeing like an increase in venting or activity at the pad right now. So
Yeah.
combine that with Elon's tweet, and it's definitely looking like it's a wrap for today.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and make that call in terms of time to say goodnight to the live stream here.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. I don't know what anybody else thinks.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good thing. Again, we're gonna get we'll still have local recordings and stuff like that. But in terms of hanging out here for another, what is it, hour and a half, 2 hours, however long it might be. What is our next plan? Do we know of any testing that may happen tomorrow, or what's happening?
Well, it sounds like from Elon's tweet they're going to try again tomorrow. Obviously, they're going to have to look into whatever caused the liquid methane to get too warm. So we'll have to see if they end up recycling tomorrow after the data review. But certainly this week there's going to be a lot of testing, eventually building up to a static fire of that single Raptor engine. So stay tuned for future live streams on this channel. And if you haven't already, there is a button that will help you remember when that happens. It's called the subscribe button.
What is this, YouTube? Oh, wait. Don't forget to like and subscribe. No, but...
This is giving me serious vibes of hanging out on Nomad's roof with Tim. Like, I'm glad we have so much more visibility into what's going on, because I feel like so many times it was just like, well, do we go inside? Do we not go inside? Do we set up? Do I take our cameras down? I don't know. And it's so, yeah, at least we have a little bit more visibility into what's going on, and hopefully we get some more tweets from Elon and see what's going on tomorrow.
I actually misspoke a little bit there. I said tomorrow, but the right thing to say is later today, because it's already May the 4th. So May the 4th be with everyone. And that window, Michael, when does the window open again this evening?
Road closures will begin at 9, like we saw today, or late yesterday night. This actual fueling of the Starship not occur until a little bit after midnight. So it could actually, I guess, be technically tomorrow right now when the
Gotcha.
actual fueling starts. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, gotcha. So we will keep an eye to this. Remember, if you need to keep up with us, you can follow at NASASpaceflight on Twitter, and here on the YouTube channel. You know how to get back to a YouTube channel if you would like to get back to the YouTube channel. But if there is something for us to stream, I mean, I'll be standing by with all the live stream equipment here to help share it, and just stay tuned to see. Dude, Tim, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man.
Oh, it was funny because I'm just sitting there watching, and you guys are all talking, and it's just like, yeah, of course, I'd love to come hang out. Like Jack said, this is reminiscent of sitting out. Boca Chica is a crazy place. It is a wild, wild place, and
It's one of my favorites. It's such a great place.
it really is. It's something magical, and I really hope we can, once the world is open back up, we can come and hang out and catch some of these in person. So
Absolutely.
I can't wait either. It's about time.
Good deal. So
Thanks so much for stopping by, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for real. Jack, thank you as well. You've been here for the long haul hanging out with us. So
I got you, fam.
And Michael.
is Michael's still here, right?
I'm still here.
All right. So
Yeah.
folks,
Thank you guys for all your coverage. You guys have always done just such an amazing job. I hope I say that enough. Yeah, always impressed.
well,
Thanks, dude.
yeah, we appreciate you, Tim. Also, Mary over here, we're having some connectivity problems with Mary's voice, I think. So we will also say goodnight to Mary. Of course, she's still out there operating the camera and stuff, but we're sending text messages in the background here. But that is going to mark the end of our second vigil. I can say vigil, right? For the Starship SN4 testing live feed coming from Boca Chica, Texas. Thanks to Boca Chica gal, Mary out there running the cameras, and everybody back here in the
Thanks,
studio.
Mary.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mary. Wants to say thank you for making this happen with us. And we'll get those audio things sorted. We'll get her another modem or something. But for now, I do believe it's time for us to switch this over to the Bluebird camera. So, no, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that.
If you don't follow, if you guys don't follow or subscribe to Tim on YouTube, there, go over and give Everyday Astronaut a subscribe and a like, and give Scott Manley a subscribe. Everybody, if you're not subscribing to all of these space YouTubers, get on it.
There's no lack of awesome, inspiring space content if you're looking for it. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
There's an amazing community. Seriously.
it really is. Yeah,
I feel like we
absolutely.
should
Yeah,
also.
and before you go, before you leave chat, throw a thanks, Mary, in there. I see chat's blowing up right now, and we always love to see that, and we know she does too. So
Yep. All right. Well, once again, that is the end of our live stream here. We will be looking for more SN4 testing out at Boca Chica later today. Just stay tuned around, and we will see what else we see. But for tonight, we'd like to wish everybody, I guess, good night. I mean, I don't know. I don't have like an outro to do or anything. Later, nerds.